Deer Hunter Podcast, a platform created to entertain, educate, and evolve the modern day deer hunter.
Yeah, and then I gotta try to like sync it all up and fucking. You can't be too nitpicky, you know. Luckily, the camera's not super high def, so people can't see our mouths moving a lot of the
Should we
time.
start to try to talk like ventriloquists?
I know, it's a pain in the ass. This week's crushing me, and usually on Saturday mornings is the morning that I get up early and do a bulk of my editing for the week. And tomorrow is my on-call rotation. I got a full day of work, so I won't be doing any editing tomorrow. So I'll be doing it on Sunday, and I'm just kind of physically and mentally beat down this week.
Yeah.
I'm actually fighting off a minor touch of depression after what happened to me last night, man. Total bummer. So I had a guy on the podcast that I've been looking forward to talking to for weeks. And I'm almost hesitant to say who his name is because he's such an amazing guest that I don't want any other podcast to go and steal him before people hear him here.
Right.
But he's a friend of Dan Infault's. Dan Infault introduced me to him, and we did a 90-minute podcast last night on hunting cedar swamps, and it was amazing.
I bet.
I was just captivated by it, and I was excited. I was like, that's the best stuff that we've got so far, as far as like pure just whitetail conversation and some in-depth talk about, you know, how to approach this hunting scenario. Fucking the application that I use that syncs with Skype to record the call didn't transfer his audio file.
Oh, no.
It showed the whole thing recording normally like it always does, but when I closed everything out and went to check all the audio files, his didn't exist. What are you looking at?
I just seen a mouse.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Run down your stairs. It was like,
son of a bitch.
Right
Did you
behind
get it
me.
on your trail camera set up over there?
He might have got picked up. I'm not sure.
No, he's a little bit out of the range of the trail camera.
Yeah, he's just running down
I've been
steps.
fighting mice in here for a while.
It's a nonstop battle at my house.
Well, since
too.
you can't buy decon locally anymore, it's been a pain in the ass, but
I use those little Tomcat things.
I gotta get some. I just been, and you know, now with having Gunner, he feeds the birds and he spills bird seed all over the garage and shelled corn, and there's just such a plethora of food in here for them to eat all the time.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so the guy doesn't even know yet. I haven't even contacted and told him, but he will
Yeah,
by the
that's a
time
little-
this airs.
It's embarrassing. I mean, it's not your fault.
It's
but,
embarrassing, dude. I feel
it's a bummer.
terrible. Yeah,
Huge bummer.
no, I feel like a shill of a podcaster.
I think you were telling me about him a little bit.
Yeah.
He's been hunting swamps for a
long time. Dude, it was an amazing conversation. I was so into it, and I was so excited, and then to see that happen. And what ended up happening is I did an iOS software update for the laptop. So when I started exploring last night, like, what happened, you know? So I tried calling my phone through Skype, and the call recorder, again, showed the same thing. But when I went into where it stores the audio file was blank. I'm like, what's going on? So I closed everything out. I reopened it, and a pop-up came up, and it says, alert, you updated your iOS. You need to update call recorder to this version, otherwise you could have issues. And I'm like, could have issues, huh?
Thanks for the heads
Yeah,
up.
thanks for letting me know after
Yeah.
I used it.
So
That's
I got to
horrible.
call the
What
guy
a
tomorrow and tell him. And so what I'm going to do, hopefully, and he's up for this, it was so good. And, you know, I don't like doing the podcast over the phone anyways, and he's a Michigan guy. So hopefully, in order to make it up to him, I'm going to offer to go visit him and sit down with him and do it one-on-one, because it's just harder when you're on the phone to not verbally step on each other's feet, and you can't look at each other. No one's going to stop talking and start talking, and it's just a little clunkier.
Yeah.
So hopefully it'll provide the opportunity to have an even better podcast than what probably would have been our best episode to date.
Or it was just
such
such
a bummer.
Honestly,
I
no.
want to hear what you guys talk about.
I wanted to cry. I was
That's
at
what-
that point.
I'm wondering if it was such crucial
The
information
government
to
removed it from the website.
dominate swamp buck hunting that he just decided, well, I'm the only one that's going to listen to this, and he actually has the audio and just doesn't want to
that right?
release it.
Kevin.
Oh, me?
Sandbagging
You're
on us?
saying I'm hoarding it?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's
Well, I'm mentally hoarding it now. That's what Shannon said. She said, well, couldn't you just, like, do a blog post discussing what you guys talked about? I'm like, yeah, it's called a book. Like, I'm not an author.
Right.
Like, I can't write a book. This guy just gave me, like, 200 years worth of information on hunting swamps.
Ugh.
It
Makes
sucks.
me sick too. I'm
Great
sorry.
grandfather shot a 300-pound buck in a cedar swamp on Drummond Island.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
He has a photo of it. He sent it to me today. It's amazing.
I'm sure his great grandpa's not around anymore. Or
Probably
is he?
not. No.
So
That'd be
that's
sweet
probably
if you
pretty
had-
impressive.
If you had a story, like he wrote a story about killing that deer, and you had that with the mount, that'd be cool.
Hey,
Just
will you
put it
tip your mic up just a little bit more there? Get it out of your beard.
as it rustling.
Bring it up
Rustling
just a
like
little.
leaves.
There you go. That's better.
Is that perfect?
That's better.
His grandpa's stories etched on birch bark with a charred stick out of a fire.
Yeah. So, you know, whatever. All I can look at, I'm trying to be positive about it and see that there's an opportunity to do the mouse again.
Yeah.
So we're
he's-
recording
He's
the.
looking at me. He
So-
just keeps looking at me.
We are.
It literally sidestepped your mousetrap sitting there on the steps.
Yeah, as we're podcasting, the bar is situated under some stairs that go into the upper level of my garage, and it's a skinny pinch for mice. It's a heavy travel corridor.
I could feel his beady little eyes on me. I was getting uncomfortable. I look over and we locked eyes for a second.
So there's
there.
currently a mouse traveling up and down the stairs as we're sitting here recording, and we've got a camera set up to our right for the YouTube page going, and then we have a Exodus Lift 2 trail camera running on our left. What do you have it set up in hybrid mode or on video?
I believe it's hybrid.
Hybrid. So we'll get some photos and some videos that we will probably you'll put up on your Instagram.
Right. Right.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. So what I wanted to focus on tonight is we're kind of getting close to season, and I kind of wanted to talk about gear. I know everybody's been super busy, and we've kind of been scrambling. Like, you still need stuff. I still need stuff. I don't know what kind of situation you're in. If you were...
To say I need would be a stretch, but there's definitely things
I'd agree.
want to
You
get
want-
before.
Right.
Yeah,
I can
hunting
get by
season.
with everything I have.
Do you?
I
I thought you said
well,
you
I mean,
needed broadheads.
Well,
You have broadheads?
no, I do need them because I did just sight my bow in for 125 grains, and all the broadheads I have are 100 grain broadheads.
Mhm.
So I do need to get more broadheads.
It's pretty important. I have not shot. Yeah,
Shot. That's
exactly.
all right.
I have not shot my compound with only field tips. I do have a couple field tips in there, but every group that I'm shooting includes 2 or 3 of the practice tip broadheads.
Very
I
nice.
sighted my bow in that way from the first time I started shooting it this season.
Well, and they're both flying the same.
They
from
fly
what I
right
Drew
yeah,
and you.
Yep.
Yeah.
The only concern of mine is when I'm doing that is that at closer ranges, 20 and 30, the groups are so tight that I've been worried about damaging arrows.
Right.
But
Just aim at a different spot if you can. How big are your targets?
yeah, I love seeing those nice.
Everybody does, but come on.
Yeah, I know.
You don't need
Well,
to
the
do
other part is too, I need a new target. There's certain parts of my target, if you shoot at it, especially with that little heavier arrow build, it's just,
Was yours a foam target?
yeah, it's like a compressed layer foam. I went to look at new targets, and I'm like, $100. It's a kick in the nuts. It's a block of foam.
Dunham's just had
I
ton
was
of
at
them on
Dunham's.
sale.
Yeah, that's
Some of them are pretty nice. They're
Yeah.
pretty nice for the money, but
know,
I want to get a
They're
nice.
all designed to shoot shit at, though, so how nice do you really want one? You know?
Right, I'm just saying for durability and ease of pull and
well,
stuff.
that's
The
my thing.
Reinhardt,
It's like, should I
like that.
spend $40 on something that's going to last me a season, or should I spend $100 on something that lasts me 3 seasons? But I'm actually in a situation where I do need some stuff. I need a couple $100 where my boots have holes in them.
Dan Infault puts them there on purpose.
Right? You got to let the water drain out when you're going through the swamp.
Yeah, well, he's part animal.
He is definitely a manimal for sure.
Raccoon.
Yeah.
A
No.
raccoon.
Dude, how are you going to sit out in below freezing temperatures with wet feet for 4 hours?
I've done it.
It's not
They
fun.
stay warm in them boots. It's just real squishy and soggy.
It doesn't
Your
stay that
body
warm.
temperature kind of warms
You're
up.
way better off having dry feet. You're not going to argue me that.
I did it
Well,
once
yeah.
ice fishing where I had a hole in my boot and it just filled up with water. And I sat out there for like 3 hours and toes just hurt. They were so cold, you know, it felt like someone hit them with a hammer. And on my way home, I stopped and bought new boots. And it's like, I'm not doing that ever again.
I like my feet so dry that I'll hit them with like talcum powder before I put my socks on and put them in my rubber boots, because you know your feet will get a little sweated up walking in.
Oh, absolutely.
So I'll throw a bunch of powder on my feet before I even put on my wool socks and then put them in my boots, so that when I do get out there, my toes are like nice and dry. So I hate having damp feet. I feel like my feet are always clammy, like no matter what I do.
Well, we're dudes. We sweat. No, it's pretty
It's
rough.
science.
Right,
Yeah.
it's science. I mean, we go pretty deep in the woods. You know, we don't just walk 100 yards off the road to go in. You know, we're usually hiking, so you can't help but to work up some body heat. Oh,
Well, I need boots. My mobile tree stand, I don't have any steps for. So I'll be hunting pretty low.
Well, you still got the climber, I guess, if you needed it. But
Yeah, well, my intentions are in the next 2 weeks I'll buy steps. And then early season, I just don't really hunt with rubber boots. I just have
yeah,
my
it's too hot. I know that it helps with scent control and everything, but that rubber also keeps every bit of moisture
I'm
in
not
there. You
completely-
just greenhouse your feet.
man, I've had plenty of times where I've walked in rubber boots, and as soon as the deer hits where I step, it's
Right.
yeah, it doesn't seem. I just
what do you mean? What are you saying?
where I'm not fully sold on that. Like rubber boots hide your scent.
I think they do hide a great deal of your scent. What I was agreeing with, I think it was it Dan Infault was saying that deer will pick up disturbances in the ground. Where you're
Yeah.
breaking the soil
I
and the
think
surface.
that was
of it.
Eberhard.
Yeah, Eberhard's really.
Well, that was a good idea.
Yeah.
Eberhard's really on that, and that there's truth to that too. So my thought process isn't that a certain boot is going to keep me scent free. It's just about my entry and exit. So I don't worry about what boots I have on. I'm comfortable going out there with tennis shoes. I'm just gonna tread where I have, planned on deer not crossing my path. At
Right.
some point they will, but it's just after so many times for years I wore rubber boots, and you'd watch deer come across your track, and provided they're in and out of your truck, they're in and out of your house. I mean, they don't just sit outside.
Well, a lot of times up here too, it's so cold. You got your bibs draped over them, anyways. It's not like you're stuffing the
Right.
leg of your bibs
Yeah,
into your
no,
boot.
exactly.
So
Right.
that's all dragging on the ground anyhow.
Right.
So I got about a month really until I need to worry about getting boots, but I do need to get steps right away, and then I feel like there's something else that I actually do need, but I'll think about it here in a couple minutes. But you're pretty much just need broadheads, and then you're in good shape, huh?
Yeah, I'd say so. Just broadheads.
Did you get all your tags?
I don't have my Michigan tags. I got my Ohio tags. Those are all set.
Okay.
I put them in the binder that I prepared, so they're in there. You just got to fill them out. And then I've got the electric company's permission to hunt their recreational area. I think I've got enough printed
like
out for
the
all of us.
easements for the power lines.
Not just that, they've got large tracts of land.
Oh,
The
really?
power company, and it's available for hunting. You just have to have these sheets with you and have your information filled out and just have them with you. Pretty simple.
I still got to buy my Ohio tag. I haven't bought that yet.
I wanted to, when I was working all the overtime, I was trying to make as many purchases as I could.
Right.
So closer to season, I wouldn't have to spend as much money because I'm not going to be working as much this
Yeah.
time of year. Hopefully, I'm not going to be working as much. I know for sure I've got time blocked off already, but I'm hoping to take even more when the conditions are right to take off work. So I'm just trying to minimize my spending now.
Right.
So there's a couple different products I really wanted to get before this season, but it just my budget is completely
I know.
200% blown out for the year.
I
I'm just trying to wait till next spring or whatever, or give it some time after the season and then start doing that.
Yeah.
I broke down and updated my camo a lot this year. I bought new pants, a couple new layers and whatnot, but I've been trying to do it as like budget friendly as possible. Like going on camofire.com or huntoftheday.com, and if something's up there for a relatively good deal, like I picked up my merino base layer, black Orvis merino wool.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the best merino wool I've ever worn. I got a First Light merino Chama hoodie was like $120. That's
right.
Way better. But for the long underwear pants and top merino wool, I think I paid like $65 or $70 for the set of them. So
Really?
Normally it's more than that for one piece.
Right.
That or more than that, right?
But it does.
Goodbye.
And it does have a little bit of a scratch to it, which merino wool's not supposed to have. So I wonder what's going on with it, But my First Light stuff's, it's like having like a flannel on, and there's no scratch to it at all. It's nice and soft, but
When I get that close to my skin, I'm no itchy.
right.
Yeah, I'm really, really struggling with Shannon doesn't want me to shave my head.
Yeah.
And the last 2 deer hunting seasons, I had my head shaved because when I have a hat on all day, if my head's shaved, it does not itch at all.
Right.
And it's so nice getting up in the morning and just running some water over your face and your hair and not having to deal with that. But she's like, boy, I'd really like it if you didn't shave your head again. So,
Yeah.
Well, Mama wants.
maybe.
I usually shave mine when I get it. I don't have to wear a hard hat every day, but sometimes I get stuck on job sites where I got to wear them for, a couple weeks at a time or whatever, and I always buzz it down for that. And then hunting season, I never have hair on my head. Just because the same thing, you wear a hat all day, every day, that hair's just crammed underneath it. It gets all gross, too. It's just a lot easier to stay clean, and it's way more comfortable with no hair on your head.
Right. No, I fully agree. Yeah, it helps.
And I'm not even balding, and I still shave my head down because I just don't want it.
Yeah. I'm not, I don't have any glorious, well-manicured hairline at this point in my life. But I'll agree with my wife. I probably look a little more appealing with a head of hair that I, still have. But, man, it's nice having a shaved head. That greasiness of it. And that's the big thing for me is my head just does not itch. If I have a hat on and I have hair, within an hour or two, it starts itching, and then I'm in the stand, and you're like moving your hat around, and you're moving. Whereas if my head's shaved, man, I can just sit there comfortably all day. So
Yeah, I don't go
It's probably going to happen here pretty quick.
full out shave, but
Yeah,
I buzz it down to like a 1,
Right.
Right.
and I do it like every other week just to keep it low.
John Eberhardt says he shaves his pubes for scent control.
Yeah,
That's no. He just likes shaving his pubes, I think, because he still
he's
had a
into
full head of
manscaping.
hair.
He's into the manscaping.
He wasn't shaving his head, so he's not worried about that.
You're right. He just likes to party.
He does.
Yeah.
John's a great guy.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
is.
I was chatting
I'm
with
reading
him.
this book. It's great.
I was chatting with. I've been chatting with him all week actually because I'm listening to. There's some guys. I think it's Down South Hunting podcast. They did essentially a scent debate with John Eberhardt and Dan Infalt.
No way.
Which
They
both have. Well, they recorded at separate times, and these guys are piecing the audio back and forth between asking them questions and how they answered, and then reflecting on each other's answers. It's really interesting. It's a 3-part podcast.
Oh wow.
Each one is a little bit over an hour.
Wow.
And it's well done. The guys did a good job with it. The audio's good, the editing's good. I've really been enjoying it. So I was just chatting back and forth with John about it, and he has some interesting things to say and whatnot. But yeah, he's a firecracker.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
he's
no,
interesting.
He's a great guy,
Really
man.
is.
I really enjoyed getting to talk to him.
Yeah,
Obviously, he was nice enough to have us into his house, so
right. And
I'm just gonna poke fun at anybody that shaves their pubes, and says it's for scent control.
yeah, just when they say it's for scent
Yeah,
control,
right.
right? Nobody's got any problem with a little bit of manscaping.
No.
Dead air.
Yeah. Well, everybody's got to take a sip of beer every now and then.
Yep.
Clothes, that's a good thing to talk about. I wanted to talk a little bit about Whitetail. I've been talking with those guys lately. So you bought a bunch of First Light stuff.
Yeah, I got a whole mix of stuff. I got some First Light. I got some Black Orvis and Scree.
Scree?
SKRE. They make a mountain gear. You know, I bought their hard scramble pants. They're like a Kuiu or a First Light, something like that.
Gotcha. I never even heard of them.
Yeah, they're SKRE. They're fairly new. You know, they're not as well known. It was
Are
one
they
of the
consumer direct as well, or?
I don't know, because I got them on Camo Fire. They were running some deal where I got the pants for like $75. Or
Yeah.
they're comparable to like Kuiu's Attack pant, where it's like it's a synthetic pant with it says it's got Teflon in it, which I don't, if it's woven in there for like water repellent or whatnot, but it's a nice heavier tactical pant with it's got like a digital camo. They got a really solid camo pattern, and the reason I got them is they have hip zippers on them, so you can crack open vents on your hips.
Nice.
And I thought that would be great for climbing up the tree with the lone wolf stand.
Right.
You know, don't like sweating when I'm walking out there, so I try to minimize it as much as
It's
possible.
depressing when you get out to your stand and you finally get there and you're like, oh, I'm so damp.
I'm gonna be
How much
freezing
scent? How
in
much
an hour.
scent have I just thrown all over the place?
Right.
You know, it's I do everything that I can. You know, and I'm always trying to think of new ways to hide my scent, but I still. Your body's your body, you know, and we put off smells just like the deer put off smells, and it's, you know, it's tough to hide all that.
Well, the biggest thing is too, you sweat, and all that gets cold. You get so cold when you're damp. It's
Well, that's why Merino's game changer, right? It really
Right.
helps with that.
right.
One, it wicks the moisture,
Mm-hmm.
and two, the moisture that it does hold for the period of time it's holding it, you're still maintaining heat.
Right.
You can take those Under Armour base layers.
Oh,
and
they're worthless. I have
you-
them.
That's all I have right
spent
now.
the
I was
$90
gonna say,
on
man,
it. It's
you can
brutal.
use them
Yeah,
for
I've spent money on it,
fire
too.
starters, as far as I'm concerned, because those things are garbage.
Yeah.
Never did I waste money. Well, I'm trying to think of a hunting product that I was more disappointed with than Under Armour base layer. I'm like, I'm freezing.
Yeah. They're
Like,
not
this
very
is
good.
ridiculous. I'd be better off not having a base layer. I appreciate you not sneezing all over my
I
microphone.
think I got Drew.
Yeah,
though.
you
I
just
was-
directed it at my beer. I could literally see all of your germs
tried to
landing on my beer.
tried to deflect it.
You sneezy? Maybe it's because you got a huge cloud of thermocell smoke rolling right up into your face. There's not even any mosquitoes out.
I was getting torn up earlier. I
Here,
don't know
I'll
what it
set
is.
it down here.
All right, we can turn it off if you guys aren't getting eat up.
I haven't gotten bit by a single
just turn it
mosquito.
off.
Maybe it's because you have a thermocell going. What the hell were we talking about?
We were talking about base layers.
Base
I
layers,
honestly,
yeah.
I'm
No.
not that disappointed in my Under Armour.
Before we
that
get
disappointed.
too far away from it, though, I want to say people about those hard scrabble scree pants. Before I ordered mine, I read a lot of sizing reviews and stuff, because anytime you order things online, you should check that. They
That's
do
important.
run small, so order a size bigger. I ordered a size bigger, and they fit perfect. So
Where did you
Excellent.
find that? Are they a direct-to-consumer company, or
yeah,
they
you
sell
can.
off of?
They have a website where it's just skre.com.
Do they sell to distributors or to dealers, or just?
I would guess it's direct to consumer, but
Was that on one of those Camo Fire?
it was on
Okay.
Camo Fire, which is every 24 hours different deals,
On
know,
hunting
on
stuff.
there. So
That's all hunting things.
all hunting things. There's huntoftheday.com and camofire.com.
I've checked
And-
those out a few times. They look like they could be a
The-
dangerous
yeah,
place
it
for me to
is.
be.
It is, but just take note if you're going to order some Scree hard scrabble pants, order a size
Size
up.
I always try to look whenever I'm buying anything,
All right.
you know, what people recommend. Look as many reviews as I can.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, it's hard to make a buck and to spend it, you know. You want to make sure you're spending it right.
I had the Under Armour cold gear, top and bottom.
Right.
and I've never been more uncomfortable or cold. You know what? That stuff might be good. That compression stuff might be good for if you're on the move, if
Right,
you're like
right.
more of a moving situation. But for sitting,
Yeah, stationary hunts, not very good.
not very
Right.
good is an understatement.
The one nice
it
thing,
constricts your circulatory system by compressing on your skin
right?
and makes it harder for your blood to flow and transfer heat.
The one nice thing about it though is because that material is, I'm not sure what it's even made out of.
It's a polyester, type
Polyester. Yeah,
of blend.
it's really like smooth, like slippery almost.
So you can fit in your other clothes
your
better,
clay-
your layers.
your other clothes layer on top of it really nice. But as far as actually
Yeah,
having like a thermal property to keep you warm, it's
Not
pretty
very much.
useless.
right.
I've actually got a pair of Drake. I don't know if you ever heard of it, mostly for duck hunting.
Yeah, waterfowl stuff.
Right. They're Drake.
The wrapper.
No, I don't know what that is. But they're like wader, like a base layer that's fleece, so it's not the best either. But they're like a wader pants, so they got stirrups on the bottom that come up, and they actually have cut off sleeves, so it doesn't restrict your movement at all, and it kind of keeps that heat on there. They're pretty nice. It all zips up and kind of like a unitard looking thing. But
I used to have a union suit, flapping all
Nice.
on the butt. Yeah.
I wish I had that in my hunting gear. Sometimes you get that rumble in your tummy, you know.
A little coffee rumble
Oh,
in your tummy after
right.
your trip to your stand.
Right. It gets a crazy
The-
situations.
I'm just way
Yeah.
so past that. I get up hour and a half before I have to leave camp, and nowadays I'll usually bring a 35-pound kettlebell with me and do some push-ups, sit-ups, squats, throw a kettlebell around for 30 minutes, and have a couple cups of buttered coffee, and I'll eliminate that out of my. That'll be not a problem when you're out in the woods. You
Great.
get rid of that real quick.
Glad we're getting to the poop talk now. This is good.
Well, it's important. I mean,
Right.
you know, got to know how to deal with these scenarios when they arise as a sportsman.
The first light
absolutely.
sanctuary bibs I bought
Right.
last year, I bought those. Man, they're super legit. They're like wearing a sleeping bag out in the woods. But
Nice.
dude, it gets too hot when you gotta actually move it all, you know. But if you're just going to sit in a gun shack and it's 10 degrees outside, you
Perfect.
can't beat it. But they actually have what they call their emergency response system, where the
Love
zippers
it.
you can zip up around the ass, you know, and drop trowel right out there in the woods and lean up on the
Emergency
tree.
response system.
I
Hey,
like that.
would you do me a huge favor?
What's up?
Your microphone cord will reach the refrigerator. Would you grab me a can of Coke?
No problem.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
We should state that it's a Friday night. This
Right.
is one of
Most
the.
of us don't have to work.
I thought you have to work.
Right.
I have to
say
work.
most. Oh, you do?
Yeah,
Well,
Drew
only
doesn't
one
have
of
to
us
work.
doesn't have
He's
to work.
excited.
Oh,
my
yeah.
gosh,
Yeah.
Drew.
Yeah, I know. We're the last couple times we've been doing this has been on weeknights, and it's been kind of sucky because we get to bed late and the next day sucks. But
Usually average about 3.5 hours of sleep after the podcast.
there's those black cans of Coke in there. Would you grab me one of those? Perfect. Thank you. So, get after it maybe a little bit tonight. I'm drinking some bourbon whiskey.
I got shorts, Noble Chaos.
It's Oktoberfest.
Yep, and it is delicious.
Yeah, it's really dark. Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am enjoying
I heard they recently added more hops.
it. I heard that too. Mr. McLovin.
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 My base layer is merino, and it's from, I got it from Midway. I'm trying to think of who the hell makes
Oh, you said you had like smart wool.
it's Smart Wool. So I have Smart Wool heavy duty socks, and then I can't remember what the thickness is, but it was their colder stuff,
Yeah.
and top and bottom, and it was very inexpensive.
Really?
Through Midway, and I'm sure there's other places that you can get it, but that's where I picked it up, and complete game changer. And the waistband is real nice. Like it's I don't know how to explain it, but you know how some of those waistbands on underlayers, like
I
they
start
really,
digging into you. or
yeah,
whatever.
man, they're like razor knives after
Right.
a little while,
Oh, yeah.
cutting into your tummy.
Yeah.
When, especially when you're sitting on a tree stand for 4 hours, it's like it's so uncomfortable. This is not like that at all.
It's like a thick waistband or something.
yeah,
like
kind of.
wider.
Yeah, and the material like wraps around
Oh, nice.
the waistband and then is stitched over it. So it's super comfortable.
Right. Yeah.
Those pants, like in the winter, I'll wear them just around the house. If I want to sit around the house and just watch football or whatever, I basically identified them as yoga pants for men.
That's a horrible image.
I would not want to tell my buddies I'm in my yoga pants.
But that's how comfortable they are. You know how girls are walking around everywhere in yoga pants? Because they're comfortable and they look nice.
Right? Yeah, they do.
But I don't know that if I went to the grocery store in these that
I just really like how they make my ass look, guys. Don't make it weird.
Sure, it looks great.
they're just super comfortable.
Yeah.
And so that's my base layer, smart wool. And then that's the one thing that I don't really need. Well, I would like to upgrade to some newer bibs and a newer jacket because
For late season or
for
early?
late season.
Okay.
From October basically through at least the later part of November, I have the whole new Plythol layering system, which you guys saw I bought at the beginning of last year.
Great looking system from what I saw. And
Yeah, and they fly.
I'd love to do
I
that.
feel like up until this point, I mean, do you know anybody else that owns a piece of Plythol clothing?
No,
not a single
all.
person. Never heard of it before. You told me about it.
Right. I don't even know how you found them, honestly, because
Yeah,
they have like
I'm
no web
impressed.
presence.
So
Yeah.
you know how I found them? I went into Google and I Googled digital hunting clothing, digital camouflage, and clicked on images. And the image came up of a hoodie, and I was like, oh, that's badass. And so I clicked on it and went to the website, and it was Plythol, and I started looking at the stuff, and the prices were pretty cheap to where I was really questioning, like,
Cheap for what? For a mid-grade or a high-end level camouflage?
compared to
Like Sitka's some of the most expensive stuff.
compared to comparable images that I would compare it to when you are just doing nothing but looking online at a computer.
Right.
You know, if I was to look at a Sitka look and look at a Plythol hoodie,
They look very
they
similar.
look very similar,
Right.
but the prices are, you know,
30% cheaper.
you know what? I'd have to pull it up and look right now to
Right.
tell you exactly.
I've been heavily looking over their stuff.
Substantially lower cost.
Right.
And so it kind of scared me a little bit because I was like, man, this stuff's, I mean, the quality can't be that great for these prices that I'm looking at. But it was money back guarantee, you know. And so I thought, well, what's the risk? Basically, you know, I waste a little bit of time. The stuff comes here. If I don't like it, I'll box it up and send it back. I was blown away with how the stuff fit me and how light it was. You were talking earlier about getting out to your stand and being sweaty.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
always suffered from that. Not last year. So nice to have a merino base layer, and then I have the full rut. I think they call it the full rut 2.0 pants. They're
Okay.
insulated pants. And then I have the hoodie, which is like their 1.0. That's how their systems are. So their early system is 1.0. Their mid-weight, mid-season system is 2.0, and then their late season stuff is 3.0.
I know they call it some full rut, pre-rut,
Yeah.
full rut. Some
There's
of their newer stuff?
Different names for all the stuff. But I bought the pants and the hoodie, and then over the hoodie I have, I think they call it the full rut jacket,
Right.
insulated jacket.
That jacket looks nice.
Oh, yeah.
I've obviously never worn it, but
Right.
it does look pretty warm.
And I'll say right off the get that I'm on the smaller size, 5'8". Last year when I got the stuff weighing 168 pounds in really good shape, and everything fit me perfectly medium.
Right.
So, you know, I guess it's risky anytime you order anything online, right?
Right.
You got to look at, and they have all the lengths and the measurements and the sizing chart. You'd want to go on there.
Yeah.
The one thing I did notice is that the jacket seemed a little bit short from what I was used to.
Right.
Like the hoodie hangs out underneath the jacket, but the jacket doesn't have a tight, like
Bottom.
yeah,
There's no
it does.
drawstring or
It
nothing
does
like
have
that?
drawstrings that you could pull tight, but I don't like that feel. I like a looser bottom. Whoa.
Three ways to
don't
Right
hit.
when we
Yeah,
start that.
right.
I'm just picturing like a December morning though, sitting in the tree stand in your jacket, riding up on you and feeling that cold breeze
Oh, yeah.
sneak down your back.
It's not that high.
All right.
I never ran into that.
All right.
Yep. With having my base layer, and then like I said, the hoodie, hangs out of it a little bit, but no, it seems to, even when you're sitting, basically goes right to just over the pants.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, because I was always used to wearing bibs,
Right.
and it was just a little bit something different to get used to. But I bought gloves, a hat, and the jacket, the hoodie, and the pants, and
Neck gaiter, right? You got a gaiter.
neck gaiter, full thing. The digital forest camo.
I like that pattern. It's nice.
So the reason, and you guys know this, but for the listening audience, the reason that I needed new gear last year is because I decided to start hunting with a longbow, and I was going to be doing a lot of my hunting on the ground. And when I started later in the season to put my hunting gear on and try to shoot my bow, my old gear was too bulky.
Yeah.
There was no way I could have my form correct and not have that string of my longbow
Rubbing on your coat. 'cause it's so
hitting my
fluffy
coat
and-
sleeve every time, man. And it was screwing me up, and it was driving me crazy. I'm like, what am I going to do? Like, how am I going to go hunt when it's cold and be able to hunt with this bow?
I think that's a mistake that a lot of people make when they're starting out. They go buy this super heavy set of bibs and this super heavy, like, 4-in-1 parka jacket,
Right,
and you look like the Stay Puft Man when you're walking out there, and all you hear is, like, your pants swooshing together and stuff as you're stumbling through the woods in the dark. And
I think
just the
bulkiness
wrong
is your
way to go
enemy.
about
oh,
it.
it's so restrictive.
yeah,
it's
you
just-
just get a good layering system is worth
That fits
every
well.
penny.
Right.
Right. Well, I'm planning on upgrading like pretty much 100% of my system by next season.
Right.
That's my goal. So
Yeah,
we'll
maybe
see. I'm
we
looking at Plythel huge.
Yeah, maybe we
I'd
can
like
talk
do
to those guys and have them send some stuff out for you to try, and see if you
Right.
like it. If you order anything, you can send it back, and if you do like it, all of their products have a lifetime warranty to the original owner.
Right. That's awesome.
How
Yeah.
do you?
That speaks in itself right there for quality.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you beat it. And so there's a lot of gear that costs a lot more money.
What was that? A
I have no
pterodactyl?
I think
idea.
it was
It's
a
huge.
mosquito hawk, right?
Oh.
Isn't that what they call them?
Yeah, it's giant. You can
Yeah.
eat a hawk.
You could spend a lot more money, and like I said, that was a concern of mine. But when I got the stuff right away, I was like, wow, I'm impressed. Like, I really, really like this. And, I'm not climbing mountains, and I'm not surviving for a 14-day hunt.
Yeah, you're
So,
not dull sheep hunting. and
I
everything.
can't speak to the fact that, maybe Sitka is... I've never worn an item of Sitka.
No.
I'm essentially, for how my lifestyle is, I'm kind of priced out of, like,
Stuff like that.
yeah, I had a whole cart loaded up last year with a whole Sitka system, and I'm looking at the number, and I'm like,
I could buy a vehicle for this price.
my truck didn't cost that much.
Yep.
It's not a nice truck.
No
but
doubt it's amazing gear.
It's a good truck.
Right. I bet it's amazing, but yeah, it's
And so, for most whitetail hunters, you're doing, you might do an all-day sit, but
Right.
a lot of times you're doing a 4-hour sit or a 3-hour sit, and maybe it's not critical to have, a $2,000 set
Right.
of gear.
right.
Yeah, most of my stuff I bought used.
Right.
You
You
go
did
on
good at that.
you go on Facebook and just type in First Light buy sell trade and Kuiu buy sell trade, and a couple groups pop up, and people, especially come like January, dude, you can get some killer deals on stuff. People selling, the people who went and loaded up their shopping cart on the First Light website and spent $2,500
Right.
bucks. Well, yeah, now they're getting their Christmas credit card bill, so now they're trying to offload as much of that
Oh my gosh.
camo
Right.
kit as fast as possible. So
Right.
Yeah. Struggle's real.
yeah,
That-
you can pick up like good First Light stuff for like 50-60% off.
Nice.
The
Rain gear is one thing I've always wanted to get.
That's
a
what I was
decent
looking
set of
at
rain
for-
gear,
Through
pants, and
Plythol, I
jacket.
kind of want to know Because anytime I see rain gear, I think, man, is that going to be loud? You know?
It doesn't say anything about being quiet on their website, so that
Right.
was one question I had for them.
But the thing I liked about it is they showed how it packed down so tight.
Right.
Because then you could throw that thing in your pack, you know, and walk out there.
Yeah, anybody that's interested, just go to Whitetail.com and look at it. And I think their tagline is lethal layering system.
Mhm.
And that's what they are. They're a company that designs gear to layer together.
Yeah.
They have base layers, they have early season layers, mid season, and then late season. And so I had the mid season stuff, the 2.0 stuff. And I was very comfortable in that until mid-November when we were in northern Michigan and we did a morning sit and it was like 23 degrees out
that was
and
a
we were
cold
in a tree
morning.
stand and the winds were blowing. Yeah, I think actually when we walked out it might have been like 18.
Yeah.
That was a mistake. I should have worn more clothes because by 9:30 I was hurting. I actually jogged out of the woods and back in because I was like that cold. I needed to get my body
I
temperature back
remember
up
that
pretty
morning
quickly.
because you and I were hunting fairly close, and I was pulling out my binoculars because I could actually see you from my tree. Because I was freezing my ass off, and I was like,
When is he
man,
gonna
I'm
get
not
down? I
staying
wa-
in here any longer than he is, but I wouldn't want to be the first one down. You
Yeah,
know?
that
Did
was
you
the
win,
first.
Drew?
I think I did.
That was
for you, buddy.
that was the first cold sit of the
Yeah.
year. But so
That
what?
can be brutal.
I think that
Brutal.
2.0 system is probably good. I mean, this depends on how long you're sitting, obviously, and the wind. But you know, to 30 degrees, super comfortable. To mid 20s, yeah, you're gonna have a couple hours of comfort, but after that, but you know, once you get down to 20 or below, you're gonna have to add another layer. And so what I did last year, I never had the problem because we kind of had a little bit of a warmer season, until we got into like the later part of gun. Then what I did is just put my old bibs. I had Rockies, or Rocky jacket and Rocky bibs.
Over your
Oh, and that stuff, the Plythal stuff, fits so well that I was able to layer my bibs and my jacket right over that. And I sat for 4 hours in December in 12 below in a tree stand with winds howling. Didn't even phase me. I mean, Jason and Russell were up there when we were muzzleloader hunting, and they're like, how the hell did you sit out in a tree stand? They were sitting in a blind with the heater. And they're like, I don't know how you're going to sit in a tree stand, you know? And I couldn't have been more comfortable. I bought the 3.0 mittens. So they have the mittens that have the fold over. And then I bought their 3.0 hat, which is like incinerator when you put it on your
Yeah.
head. It's ridiculous. And with the hat and those gloves and then all those layers, my merino, the 2.0, and then my Rocky stuff on top of it, I could sit out there all day in 12 below in a tree stand with winds blowing, and it just didn't bother me at all. I was comfortable.
Do they make like a neck gaiter?
Yeah, they make I have the like the early season neck
Mhm.
gaiter.
But they make a thicker one?
I think they do. I think they make a neck gaiter, and then I also think they make like do you call it a balaclava?
Yeah, close enough.
I've never known how.
I think that's how you
I
say
say
it.
baklava, but
yeah,
I think that's
It's
a
not
food.
That's a
baklava. That's a
dessert.
Greek. That's a
probably
tasty
pretty
Greek
good.
dessert.
Yeah,
No, I think
sounds
it's
good.
balaclava.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
positive.
That's a face mask.
I always like when it's really cold. I like to have, because I wear a baseball hat 95% of the time, so I always have the ball cap on, and then I like to pull a neck gaiter up over my nose, you know, and up over my ears, and then put my hood on over that,
Like a ninja.
like a ninja. But man, it's so comfy to me. You know, if I put just the beanie on and then you don't have anything on like your neck or your face, it
Yep.
still get cold. But if I can just pull that stuff over.
Cover your nose.
And the nice thing about the neck gaiter I found too is, like when there's something coming in and you're like, I can't really hear, you can kind of like, you know, move a little bit and tug that thing down, and then it's
Uncover
out of
your
way.
ears.
Yeah, and then you can hear, you
Right.
know, where
That's the amount of complaint I hate wearing hats that cover my ears or anything that covers my ears, because I don't know if I've already lost a lot of hearing being in trades, you know,
Oh,
running
yeah.
loud tools and grinders and stuff like that. But it's just
between guns, heavy metal,
Yes.
and motorcycles,
Right.
my ears are terrible.
I wasn't very good.
Mine
yeah,
are okay.
use ear
What I'll
protection
usually
wherever
do-
possible. That's my recommendation to any listener
Right,
out there.
yeah.
You know,
There's a sweet spot where I can pull my neck gaiter down just so it basically,
covers half your ear. Or something
yeah,
like that.
and then I'll pull my hat up so that my ears, the actual canals of my ears are unobstructed. And you can hear pretty good that way and stay pretty warm that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, if it gets nasty and the winds are howling, I'll pull that hat down so basically it's like right to over my eyebrows, and then I'll pull my neck
Sliver.
gaiter up over that, and yeah, just a sliver open. And
Right.
yeah, I mean, northern Michigan late season, dude, if you're in a tree stand,
Yeah.
that's how you got to be set up if you're gonna sit out there, for long stints of time.
I wonder how those. You ever heard of those game ears? They're almost like a hearing aid, but
Yeah.
they help you hear better. I wonder how they
Yeah.
work, or if they're
I don't
good,
know,
or
man.
what. You know,
Seems like it'd be annoying.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Never used one, and I don't know anybody that does. So
Yeah, maybe I just need hearing aids. Actually, you know, I probably do. My wife says I never listen, but
I get yelled at all
Yeah.
the time for going what?
yeah, what?
What?
So-
Whatever.
So all I really want to do to finish that system off is that camo pattern worked so good for me that I actually felt a little bit at a disadvantage of putting my old
Just a mossy oak cover type of pattern.
yeah, and
over it
it's
or something
worn.
like
I mean,
that.
I've had this stuff for 10 years.
Right.
It's kind of worn out and faded.
Right.
As far as comfort goes, it still does its job, but the camo pattern
and it's
is
bulky. Yeah.
that digital forest. When you're up in a tree stand, it just really, and when you're on the ground, it just really breaks up your outline. It's crazy how sophisticated those camo patterns have
Yeah.
got. And so I felt like when I put that old stuff on, I was kind of at a disadvantage. So what I'd like to do this season is I'm going to buy their late season jacket
Right.
and their bibs. And like I said, all my gear is medium. And he said to go up one size. So he said just buy large bibs and a large jacket, and that'll layer right over all your mid-season stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be set.
That's awesome.
I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I've been running. I got a pair of like hand-me-down pants. I don't even know who makes them. They're too big for me. Got to wear a belt till they fall off. And then I've got a scent blocker coat. My wife bought me for my birthday. But I have been wearing one of those leafy suits for.
Ghillie suit.
I guess they call it. There's ghillie, but this is the leafy style. It doesn't have the strings on it.
Oh, yeah, right.
And I've had it's a Cabela's brand.
It's like this.
right, kind of like that, right?
Yeah, it's like the backdrop of the Deer Hunter podcast.
Screen
studio
just
bar
like
here.
that. It really is pretty light, and I wear that over a lot of times, if not the pants and the jacket, but just sometimes just the jacket to kind of break up my outline even more.
Right.
And it's never been a problem drawing my bow or worried about getting caught on one of those leaves. And I've walked up on deer and they've looked at me with the full face mask, and yeah, they don't. It doesn't bother them at all as
Right.
long as I'm not blown in their direction. You know,
Yeah, that stuff does work good.
I like it a lot. Yeah,
I had
I'm
a
sold.
I was saying I felt like I was at a disadvantage when I put that old camo on. Well, when I was still hunting last year with the longbow, I had 2 separate encounters with deer within 10 yards on the ground of me that, they looked. In one scenario, I was moving towards a deer as the deer was moving towards me, and we just came over the peak of a ridge at the same time. And so the deer had seen movement, and it looked at me. But even though it saw that, it like, I had neck gaiter on right up over my nose, hat, their full forest digital camo, and I had a little bit of face paint on too because I was sitting in the ground blind. And 2 mature doe and 2 younger doe, and within, a couple seconds, they went back to just milling around and feeding, and I'm just standing there. And I really wanted to shoot one, but my bow, I wasn't, I got caught off guard. And so I was just holding my bow. The arrows were in the quiver. I obviously couldn't move, and they were within 10 yards of me feeding.
Whoa.
And I'm just standing there. Like, I wasn't up against a tree or anything. And it's like they were looking through me, and I was, like, blown away. It was a gray day. Wasn't super sunny. It was earlier in the morning, a little bit lower light, but, I mean, you could see real good. Yeah, and I was like, wow, this is definitely different. And then I had a 1.5-year-old buck. I was just sitting, on actually like a 7-gallon ice fishing bucket, and that's what I carried out in the woods for a seat. And I had a 1.5-year-old spike buck come in within 10, 12 yards, and he was milling around, and he'd look, and he knew something was there, and he even came a little bit closer to me, but he never picked me for being a person, and then he eventually moved through and walked off. But I was just like, wow, this is pretty crazy, deer are honestly like looking through me. That pattern works good. In the scenario where I was hunting was a mix of coniferous and deciduous forest, right? Pines and
Yeah, we got a lot of white pine, but oak and maple. And
so there's a lot of green. There's a lot of green in that pattern, and where I was hunting, there's a lot of pine and a lot of oaks and stuff, and it just worked fantastic for me.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like, it has to do with. I don't want to say it doesn't have anything to do with the colors or anything, but I think it just has to do with breaking up outline.
Breaking up
it
your
could almost,
image.
Colors don't matter all that much.
I think
For
you have
like
earth
if you plan on
colors.
using it for like turkey hunting and stuff too, then you're talking different story. But
Right.
just for deer hunting, I mean, there's a reason why everybody wears blaze orange, and because the deer supposedly, I've never looked through a deer's eyes, but I've always read that they can't see color.
They've
so.
definitely done some newer studies on it, and I just haven't had time to read, but I know the shades of different things, they,
Right.
some colors they definitely do pick up, where some colors they don't. But
They're
breaking up your outline is
That's the main goal.
And hunting in it out of
And
a spot either on the ground or in a tree with a good backdrop to you. Don't
Skyline.
silhouette.
Yeah.
Don't
Right.
show your silhouette. That's what you want to break up.
Well, yeah, and historically, we're always sitting in a tree stand with these patterns on that look like leaves and bark and everything in trees in late season with no leaves on them, and you just look like this big clump of shit sitting out on a tree.
I still have a mossy oak pattern jacket. I have an old scent blocker jacket that's, I bought it, I don't know, 10 years ago or something, but it's Gore-Tex. It keeps me dry. It's super nice, but it's mossy oak, and it might as well just be black, I feel like, sitting up there.
Just a blob. Mine's
Yeah.
Real Tree Extra. I like it a little bit better than
Yeah.
the mossy oaks. I forgot who came out with the pattern a while back. I think it was Cabela's. They had like a vortex pattern I thought was really interesting. It was designed for tree stand hunters.
Oh, I remember that.
And it had some leaves, mostly like autumn leaves, branches, and the background was all white, like grayish white, like a fall winter
Scentlock had
night.
a pattern like that too, didn't they?
I don't know.
Call it Skyline or something.
It was really
was all
interesting.
white.
I really like because I would have to say 95 to 99 to 100% of the time I'm in a tree. I like tree stand hunting.
First Light has a camo pattern, and they didn't invent the camo pattern, but I think they just bought the rights to use it or whatever. It's called ASATA. It's all season, all terrain. And what it is,
crackle?
it's a tan background with it almost looks like elk antlers overlaid. They're black though, and it like looks like brush, like a brush heap, and that stuff works. It's an old school camo pattern. It's been around for decades.
Yeah, I think
Like
there's
the
Predator, right? Isn't there a pattern called Predator that looks similar to that or
Maybe.
something?
I'm not positive, but I know First Light has ASATA, and then I buy my gear, and my First Light gear in Fusion is their camo.
I
and
love
it's,
Fusion.
That kind of
Fusion's
looks like mud, like
ridiculous.
dried
Yeah.
mud, doesn't it? It's got like a crackled kind of
Yeah, I mean,
look to it.
I don't know. It's hard to explain. You go on their website and they say like we used mathematics to break down the geometry and blah blah blah. It's like
Wow.
okay, well I don't know how much of this is
I do-
marketing, but it does work really good. Like
yeah.
I've hung my stuff up on a clothesline and then walked into the cabin, so I just hang my clothes out and 10 yards into the woods just to not take it up by the house to keep the scent off of it, and then I'll walk out and put it on out there. And when it's hanging on that clothesline and you're sitting in the cabin, I mean, it breaks up awesome. You can hardly see it out there.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing to me the one time he walked out. I think you had Bibs that were Fusion,
Yeah.
and then I think you had a different brand jacket on.
Yeah, I had that mossy oak jacket
And
on.
he was like 50 yards away from me, and didn't look like he had legs.
Wow.
I could just see his it was later season where all the leaves were brown on the ground. I mean, it was just like the perfect scenario. I was like, holy shit, man, that's legit.
Good pattern. Yeah.
Very good pattern.
Yeah, it really
They've actually
is.
even done some YouTube videos where they've had they took like a jacket that was Fusion and laid it just on the ground, and then like
Snapped a photo from above.
well, they actually had like a camera, and then they would zoom in and zoom in and zoom in and zoom in, and you're like, what are you looking at? And then finally you're like, oh, there's a jacket sitting there. It's like, yeah, the Fusion is super legit.
Yeah, they did a good job on it. But that ace header works really good too. A lot of people swear by it. I mean, and it's been working for 50 years or however long that pattern's been around. So
Well, somebody's going to get my money come next year.
yeah,
Well, I told
I
you
got some
guys
research.
already, and I'm kind of excited to tell people that, you know, I was talking with the guys at Playful the last week because I called them primarily to ask them about how to size my bibs and jacket. Did I need a medium? Is it already pre-designed to be layered over, or do I need to go up a size? And they said, yeah, if you're already wearing the mid-season stuff, then what you'd like to, you know, if you're wearing a medium, you'd go to a large to layer over that. So my bibs and jacket, and we ended up having a conversation, and it's the whole company is kind of changing their direction right now. They are getting away a little bit from dealers and trying to do a little bit more of a consumer direct motto, and they were interested to talk with us. There are a couple Midwest guys that are kind of taking over the whole program right now. They're out of Ohio, and it looks like they're getting active and working hard on trying to, you know, establish the brand. Like we were saying earlier, nobody else that we know ever has had a piece of Playful clothing. And so after a conversation with them, the one guy's from Ohio, the other guy's actually from Michigan. We came to the conclusion that we're going to try to do a little bit of work together, and they gave me a promotional code for anybody that listens to the podcast to receive 25% off of any and all of their gear. So if you go to playful.com and anything that you like or see and you put in your shopping cart, when you go to check out, if you use the promo code Deer Hunter, you get 25% off.
And if you do go there and buy it, let the Deer Hunter podcast know what you think of it. We'd like to hear
100%. I want your
what you like,
feedback.
what you have, right?
Yeah. Because
awesome.
as we kind of start to establish relationships with some companies, obviously it's like a sketchy thing, right? Like, we want to have a platform that is non-discriminatory. This platform,
We don't want to be product pushing.
we're not going to be dropping, you know, commercials in this podcast ever at any point. We're not because we're promoting one product, we're not going to promote another product.
Try other products.
Yeah.
Right.
There's
Anything.
a lot of good stuff.
right.
Just because one thing's good, we're not only going to talk about that. There's a
Right.
lot of other good products. Because Playful is a great company and they offer a great product at a great price, we're not going to talk about First Light. First Light's a great company. They support public lands, and I've been in talks with First Light about doing some business with them come the first of the year.
I like the companies that give back.
They support. I mean, they're a huge supporter of BHA and
Which
public
is
lands.
huge. That's a big one.
They support Ranella, who is arguably, you know, I don't know
Big
that it's even
activist.
arguably. He's
yeah.
the biggest, you know, one of the biggest
him
activists
and
and
Randy Newberg, you know, those two guys.
figures in, you know, hunting right now.
Yeah.
Sitka does a lot. They give a lot back to conservation and things like that. So, you know, I don't have a bad thing to say about that. About them. The only thing that I can say about Sitka is that their price point just kind of prices me out of me being their consumer.
Right. Yeah, and I don't know. A lot of people get carried away like buying like all of one company's system. They have to have the whole Sitka system or the whole First Light system. It's like it's not
You
the
don't have
best
to.
approach. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of
No.
companies make better products, you know.
Different
I
way
ended
to
up
try
finding these First Light doesn't make a good like all around pant. I feel like their corrugated guide pant and stuff, it just seems like it's gonna get tore up when you walk out in any kind of briars or anything like
Right.
that. So I wanted a heavier pant to walk out into some thicker stuff. But like their their merino is top notch, and all their like outerwear as far as like jackets go is great stuff. But their pants I just did not like at all, so I didn't buy them. But I know a lot of people get hung up on they want to look
Yeah.
like
No.
they want to have everything.
They want their
matching for
bows to
whatever
match.
reason.
They're
Yeah.
all the colors on their bows to match. They want all their gear to match. I mean, yeah, I'm gonna have a full Pleithel set, and I was saying to you earlier, it's like, man, I need an early season hat, and then I remember you bought that used Kuiu hat,
Yeah, and I have a fat head, so
and
it didn't
fit
me.
you, so you sold it to me for like $10.
Right.
So I was like, oh yeah, that's sweet, and it's very similar pattern to the digital forest Pleithel stuff. So I'm like, oh yeah, sweet, I do have a early
Yeah.
season. That's an early season hat. It's pretty thin.
Oh yeah, it's a merino beanie.
Right.
Nice.
It's not
The
for
beanie
the
wouldn't fit you?
not for the cranial endowed, as I like to say.
You're so endowed. Oh.
Well,
No, but that Pleithel stuff does seem to be pretty good stuff. But
Right.
Yeah, you guys.
I'm gonna order a couple things just to try it out. But I really want to know about their rain gear, how loud it is. Is the only.
I would, and if anybody else has got any opinions or is using any rain gear right now, I think a rainy day out in the woods can be a very productive day. It's just the fact of sitting out there and getting soaked, and then your gear is soaked for your next hunt. You know, you have to get it dried right away, and
Right.
you may not be in the situation where you got access to dry it out. You know, so I
Right.
mean, it's
Yeah.
that's a big missing thing I have in my gear. Where I
Right.
almost would rather, if I know it's going to be a really wet day, not spend a lot of time out in the woods if I know I'm gonna have multiple days of hunting.
Right.
You know, maybe just try to take off and scout a little bit, or try to regroup.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know when I go up for my October hunt, I'm pretty convinced now that we're gonna hunt out of my teepee. And so
Oh, your new teepee for camping?
yeah.
You're gonna hunt out of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not going to sit in there
Okay,
with
I
the
thought
door
first
open.
that was pretty interesting.
Big
No,
8-person teepee. We'll just set this here. Deer aren't gonna care.
We'll spread some corn out there or something.
You know, it's kind of hard when
A lot
you
of
have
guys do that.
Oh yeah.
when you have access to a camp and we got a 28-foot Airstream with heat. I mean, we have an amazing deer camp.
Oh yeah,
It's pretty hard to justify
tin can
leaving
full
that.
of man right there.
Full of man.
And but I bought that teepee this year, and I'd really like to use it. And I'm thinking mid-October, provided that the weather's not pure garbage, because that's the thing. I don't have a good rain gear setup either, and once I get the money to get our rain gear set up and have that over it, that kind of fixes that. But for now, if I come in and I'm wet, I need a ability to dry my clothes. And if I'm hunting out of a teepee for 2 or 3 days, that's going to be extra sucky.
Oh yeah, I mean, all you'll have is that steel building. Maybe get the wood stove stoked in there and try to
Oh,
hang
yeah.
it, but it could take a while. If you get drenched,
It takes a long. You gotta have that building hot with the wood
Chooching
stove
hot.
in order to dry clothes out in any timely manner.
right?
Yeah,
Like
you
if
need
it
a
rains in
dryer.
the morning, you're not hunting in the afternoon comfortably.
Right. Yeah, you need a dryer. You
Yeah.
need access to, or nice weather where you can hang the thing up for hours, But yeah, if it's
Or a
raining
good
all,
rain suit. That's
exactly.
that's what you really need.
right.
And a lot of them aren't prices. I've looked at a lot of the.
There's
I've
that
looked on Amazon and stuff like that.
Frog tog.
But I've
Right.
heard that stuff just gets torn up when you go through trees. I've talked to a lot of guys, and it's like a real light, very
looks-
breathable.
yeah.
But you hit any type, if you're sitting on a boat, might be nice. Is it emergency in your boat, or if you got
Yeah.
a sporting event or something.
That's
but
what I was thinking.
when
if
you're walking through woods, because I don't take trails, I'm walking straight through brush and and stuff like that a lot of times. So
Right.
I don't know.
So what was the Pleithel code again? Deer hunter.
Yeah, it's just deer hunter.
So
Well, that's
Deer
what
pretty
they are.
easy for you guys to remember, and
Yeah.
at least give them a look. If you don't buy anything, you don't buy anything.
Yeah,
but
even if
their
you don't
gear
need-
is worth taking a look at for sure.
Even if you don't need any hunting gear, that digital forest camo hoodie might help you score some ladies in the bar.
Oh, I would think so.
You kind of look like a pro.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love wearing that hoodie. It's super comfortable. It's very similar to an Under Armour hoodie, which
Right.
are very comfortable. They work well in a wide range of climates. You can layer it under something, which is real nice, but even to go for a jog or something, it does a great job of, not trapping moisture, but, you know, holding heat in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been impressed all the way around. So, yeah, if anybody does purchase anything or anybody does have some stuff, I'd like to hear some feedback on it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good deal. One thing I wanted to ask you guys, an honest opinion. We didn't even talk about this before the show, but do you guys carry binoculars with you when you're tree stand hunting in
I
Michigan?
used to have a couple pairs of binoculars. One was a hand-me-down set and one was a purchase set. I had a hand-me-down Cabela's compact set that had like electrical tape around the eyepiece. It was falling apart. I have no idea where they went. You know, I haven't seen them in a while. And then I bought a decent pair of Bushnells, which I didn't spend a ton of money in. It was probably closer to, I might have spent like 60, 70 bucks on them, you know? So, I mean, I pulled out a little bit of money from the wallet, but didn't invest a whole lot. I mean,
Right.
optics you can spend a crazy amount. And these things were just super heavy. But the funny story is, I mean, not to ramble on about it, I've used them. They're
What
good.
brand?
Bushnell.
Oh.
They're all camo. They're 12 by 50. You could see pretty far with them. I was down scouting with Jason in Ohio this year, and the first spot we went to, you know, learning the terrain, we kind of split up a little bit, and I stopped and just kind of tried to unload a little bit, hang out, have a sip of water, and take a little quick break. My binoculars are broken in half, so now I've got a Bushnell monocular to use this season.
You need a
Do you and Jason
tripod.
have best friend binoculars now where you can touch them together and you're best friends at the end of the day?
Yeah, I didn't give him the good side because only one side actually adjusts.
Oh, all right.
So I gave
That
him the
makes
bad
sense.
side, but you know, we're still BFFs. No, but I would like to invest. That's another thing I want to invest in, a decent pair of optics.
Yeah.
Don't need to be crazy as far as the range, and I really love to get a nice spotting scope too for doing some road scouting eventually. So I mean, those are other things that are on my list. I've got a long list of stuff I don't have.
Optics are one of those things that I haven't invested in either, just because I can't afford to invest in them. But because a good set is insanely expensive.
Yeah, I just have the Nikon. They're actually sitting right there. What's the power of those? Does it say?
It's got to be somewhere.
They've been
10 by 42.
That's pretty powerful
Yeah, I like those.
for sitting in the hardwoods.
You can look across, you know, a good size field and glass up some deer, and then I like them for trying to locate bedded deer, you know, in big woods. If you're up in the tree stand and you're sitting there, you can look out 100, 120 yards,
Right.
scope everything out, and then, you know, there might be a deer bedded.
That's
But
pretty
other
much.
than that, man, I mean, I'm not very active with them when I hunt.
Right.
I feel like, you know,
That's what I kind of use mine when I'm bored up
I do
there.
too.
I have
You
like
scored a great deal on some Vortex.
I did. It was a weird thing. I just walked into a Cabela's and they had a pair of Vortex on sale for like $110.
Yeah, go figure you get a killer deal at Cabela's.
Right, I know.
I think at the
Gotta
bargain
check the
cave
bargain
sometimes.
cave.
Yeah, check that. I haven't checked out the new Cabela's here yet. Have you guys been in there?
Yeah, I've been
I
in
walked
there.
in there.
Yeah, I feel horrible that I haven't done it. I feel like I'm unpatriotic. I
It's a
don't know.
mile and a half from my house, so it's hard not to go in there.
Yeah.
Right.
It's good to take the kids in there too, just 'cause they got the mountain with all the mounts.
I
you
should
know?
take Hunter down there with
Yeah,
me someday.
Gunner. I wasn't watching him for 1 second, and he was reaching through the bars, grabbing the display sticks, and he yanked one out of there and just started booking
Oh,
with it.
jeez.
Yanked a big stick up off the ground and was running away with
What else
it.
is a kid gonna do? He sees a stick, he's gonna grab it.
Right?
It's awesome.
But yeah, it's
Cool.
nice in there.
It's like I grew up with Cabela's, you know, and then when I was younger and getting back into the hunt and stuff again, it's like Cabela's this, Cabela's that. That was the major thing before all these different companies pop up because of the internet. And,
Their
and all that
prices
stuff.
in there are more honest now. I think Amazon has forced them to be like realistic with their
Right.
pricing.
Amazon's really caused other companies to sharpen their pencils on their.
Yeah. So they're like everything. You know, you go into like a Best Buy, at least the Best Buy by us. You walk in there and everything. You know, you're looking at a set of headphones. You can go on Amazon and get them for $20 cheaper.
Right. I
Well,
almost feel
but
bad for the other companies, but it's the
when
way
I-
that the world's changed.
When I went into
nowadays, I don't know.
Cabela's, everything was priced the same. I was
Really?
surprised,
Nice.
honestly.
Do they still carry their like lifetime warranty on any of their products? I've heard they were
I
supposed to
don't know.
change that. It doesn't.
I'm saying that I went into the
Are you
store.
talking about Cabela's, like the
Cabela's brand.
Cabela's branded
Right,
products
right.
that
I've heard that in the past that any of their products that have their name on it, Cabela's name, that it's lifetime warranty.
I honestly haven't bought anything from Cabela's in years.
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know.
it's been
think I
Just
picked
out
up
of
waders.
spite more than anything, just from decades of overpricing. But
Right.
So
It
you're
is
saying
what
their
it is.
prices in their new store you think are
They're-
lower than?
they're spot on
Traditionally.
with Amazon.
Wow,
Like,
really?
Wow,
I
that's-
think they
that's
finally like said, "Shit, retail's dying."
Well,
you
they
know, we
recently
have
tried to
to
sell too, right? Weren't they
Bass
trying
Pro.
They
to?
were trying to
I
sell
think it
Bass
did go
Pro.
through now.
Oh.
Yeah, I heard both ways.
No,
that,
I-
that,
No,
that,
it's done
that they
now.
backed out.
I heard it. Well,
It did.
I
and
read
then
it.
it got
I-
restructured. and
one of the
Really?
few things that I've been able to read in the last whatever couple months was essentially what happened is on the first, buying
Go
agreement,
around.
there was some documents that basically weren't accurate about some financial stuff.
Right.
So Bass Pro backed up and said, "Hey, this needs to be corrected and addressed." And there was a allotted amount of time for that deal to go through, which they went past. So they had to basically
Restart the deal from the ground up.
restart the
Right,
deal.
Right.
Obviously, those items got addressed because, from what I've heard now, that
It's almost
yes,
a done
it had.
deal.
Well, I think it has gone
through.
or is going through, and then so Bass Pro essentially owns Bass Pro and Cabela's.
It's interesting.
So that could be part of the reason why they were able to drop their prices now too, is because they're selling twice as much stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do? You gotta compete with Amazon.
That's the way of the world nowadays.
I mean, Amazon
it really is.
still has a brick and mortar place. I mean, stuff is on a shelf somewhere and it's boxed up. I just
recently
drove through northern Illinois
right.
into Wisconsin, and there is an Amazon building that is the size of a city.
They're building 2 data centers in Detroit right now.
Did you recently? They just
Heard
announced right over by Bad Brad's there off of 23 in Shaner. That old is it a Vistion plant that's been closed on forever? A 23 in Van Dyke, old Van Dyke. Bad Brad's. There's that old.
Yeah.
It's huge facility. I mean, you're talking maybe like 2 miles.
Oh, it looks like an airport.
It's giant. Amazon has bought that, and they're planning on building a hub there. It's
Really?
gonna create 1,000 jobs right there.
Wow.
And I'm sure it's going to be a pretty cool place. I'm sure they're going to put some time into it. It's been just kind of looking like a set
looks
from
like
Walking Dead. It
like
looks
an
like an
all too
overgrown.
No,
common
it looks
thing
like
in
a-
Detroit.
It looks
Right.
like a military property.
Yeah.
The size of it.
like
there's
a closed down military.
Yeah,
I mean,
or an airport or
it's
something
huge.
like that. It's a huge piece of
it's
property.
probably talking 500-600 acres of greater, than that.
Wow. Where'd you hear that?
It was just on the news
Oh.
the other day. Yeah,
Fake news,
it's really
maybe. We'll
fake
find
news.
out.
Fake
Yeah.
news.
You
It's
never
fake
know
news.
nowadays. It's all
Hashtag
fake news.
news.
But
Back to hunting shit.
back to hunting. Yeah. Well, I mean, we're talking hunting stuff, but yeah, I mean, it's changed the way we purchase our hunting gear nowadays.
Check
I'm okay
everything
with
out
not
online.
always having my hand on things, but now more than ever, I do more research on reviews and different products and cross compare than I was able to in the past because you have the access to all the information in front of you on your phone or computer. You can go through everything and
Dude, it amazes me that if you're like looking at a certain thing, you can just go on YouTube and type in, whatever, that product review, and how many videos pop up of people that have done like hands-on reviews of it, and it'll show you, and give you a good idea what went into the product and their honest, full-out review on it. And man, it saves you a lot of time dicking around.
oh yeah,
And
Yeah.
then before you order anything online, check
out the return policies. Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. That's the big thing is the return policy.
A lot of them are good though, where it's like
nowadays.
sizing and everything. They'll send you free, like RMA, or I don't know if RMA is the right term, but return slips. So you can, if it doesn't fit, you send it back at the right size from them for free type deal.
Right. Well, I just recently too. It popped in my head. I didn't want to forget. Had a good warranty experience with muck boots. I've always worn lacrosse, and I first tried out muck boots this last season. Actually, somehow got a good. I got work to pay for them in a roundabout way because I used my old lacrosse boots for on the job, and this project manager felt bad because I got in there and I noticed I had a hole in my boot. I said I already had this. I didn't just get it now. It's like, well, just go get yourself another pair of boots.
It was a big hole, like a physical hole?
No,
that
like
he
as soon as I
saw?
stepped into this water, I was probably like a foot deep, and these boots are 2.5 foot tall or something like that. They're tall, they come up just below your knees, and I had water come in like instantly. I'm like, man, I guess these have a leak. So anyways, to make the long story short, I ended up getting this pair of muck boots. Super comfortable. But the first time I went down to Ohio scouting, I tore them up and poked holes all in them. I was super disappointed because they're like a higher end boot. I'm thinking this is something I'm hoping to have for years, for at least 3-4 good years out of them for hunting. And they were destroyed for being waterproof. And I sent them an email. Actually, I said something on one of their Instagram comments. I said, great boot. And I said, they just, I was bummed out they didn't hold up for this. And somebody instantly contacted me, said, we want to make this right. Here's an email. And I'm thinking this is a big company, so a lot of times they could just blow you off like, whatever, everybody will buy our boots anyways. But this lady I sent an email, super nice, and they sent me a brand new pair of boots because it's been less than a year. They have a year policy, and they sent me a brand new pair of boots in the mail. Yeah, so it's super
great when companies stand by their warranty like that.
It's restored my thought that I thought a big company wouldn't have great customer service, but it was really personal, and I was impressed.
Yeah, I have had always lacrosse boots too.
They're great boots.
They're the 1800s.
Alpha Burley, or is it?
Yep, I believe so. I think they're sitting right there, aren't they?
Phenomenal boots.
I don't know. They might be on the other side of the toilet sitting on the garage floor over there.
Was I not supposed to use that? Is that hooked up?
It might get hooked up at some point.
It would be nice.
It was a designer toilet, and somebody wanted to get rid of it. And it was a $300 toilet. I didn't want to just chuck it right in the trash. I thought I could give it to somebody, or maybe put it in the upper level of my house, but it's off-white, and it doesn't really go with any of my bathroom stuff, so...
High-end.
Louis
Vuitton.
For now, it just...
High-end toilet for low-end activity.
You spokesperson for, like...
So for now, it just sits there collecting dust, and, yeah, maybe I should get rid of it. It's been sitting here for a while now. It's not exactly a moving item. No. If anybody listens to the podcast and you're in the market for a almond-colored Kohler designer toilet and you're in the Metro Detroit area, or whatever, we could ship it out to you if the price is right.
If it fits, it ships.
Yeah. We got a toilet for you.
Yeah. How do we get there?
I don't know.
Looking for boots.
Boots.
Oh, boots.
Well, what I was getting at, Jesus, God,
customer service.
Terrible.
Customer service.
Yeah, those boots on a seam split, and it was not that long after I had my first pair, and so I sent them in because I think same thing, year warranty, and they called me and they were kind of questioning me. They're like, did you like get a stick poke through it or what? And I'm like, no, it's like really apparent, like the seam split. And she's like, well, we just have to ask these questions and this and that. It was like they were kind of hesitant,
right,
as to if they, it was
somebody
something
just trying
that
to scam
I did.
Right,
nice
and
pair
of boots, free pair of
I
boots.
felt it was extremely apparent.
Right.
So I was kind of like, all right, whatever, just send me the boots,
Right.
And I had that pair for probably 3 seasons now, and they've
held up great,
kick ass.
Right.
But now they're
awesome.
just busted up, man. They got multiple holes and multiple sides. I'm due for a new pair.
Tried any like that shoe goo to try to seal up the
yeah,
loose? Have you ever
I
tried
did.
that stuff? That shoe goo?
I took like silicone and smeared it all because that rubber like splits and cracks.
Right.
Nah, man, they're toast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need a new pair, so
I
that's
had
something that I do need.
Pair of Gander Mountain knee boots, and they split on one of the seams, and we regasket liquid filled transformers at work, so we'll pull the bushings off and cut these it's like a nitrile cork gasket, and put the bushing back on, but we always put like this. It's either RVT or RTV. RTV silicone, the orange stuff, the high temp stuff.
Right.
And I just one day loaded up my knee boot with that and tried to, smash it back together, but it did not work.
No, it doesn't hold up. They take too much of a beating.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So you like the muck boots? Like, because I'm kind of in the market for. Well, you said you have a pair you might essentially be interested in maybe letting me borrow.
Yeah, absolutely. If you need them,
that'd be cool.
Yeah. I like the muck boots, and the ones I have now are their new style. It's called Pursuit Glory, and they fit
The glory of pursuit.
the glory of pursuit. They fit the bottoms. I feel like it almost fits like a tennis shoe at the bottom, which it's pretty impressive. And then it comes up. It's got more rubber on it, so probably more protective. So
Protective rubber.
right. There's
Can't go
there's
wrong
very
with
little
that.
neoprene on it. There's only a little bit of patch of neoprene for I think how just to form and hold onto your leg tight, But they're a nice boot. But their customer service was great. And I think I know you had an issue with customer service recently too.
I did.
Wait,
And
just 1 second before I forget. What temperature are those? Cold weather boots or mid weather
Well,
boots or what? Because
I
those
would say
lacrosse
these
1800s,
Our late
my feet
season.
get cold, man.
Really? They're not enough for you?
Those boots save with that good wool sock, that smart wool sock, and my 1800s, provided they don't have holes and water in them.
Right.
I'm super comfortable.
These Glories, my old muck boots were built more for I think later in the season. These ones are probably like more early, mid to the late, getting into late, but you're gonna get cold feet with them. They're not
So
like
do they
a
have-
Mickey boot.
Do they have? Does Muck Boot Company have like late season and early?
They have an
seasons?
Arctic Pro,
Okay.
which would be like their late season. They don't use grams of Thinsulate like Lacrosse and a lot of other companies. They grade their boots on grams of it.
Is it
Thinsulate.
neoprene?
Neoprene, right? So
Okay.
they just
That's
go
what
by
my
millimeter
My
of
wife.
neoprene.
My wife has neoprene boots.
They're comfortable.
Right.
They fit nice. So
That's what
I was
they-
impressed.
Yeah.
Very impressed with them, and I'd like to see how the season does and kind of give you guys an update on the end of the season because I'm going to be hitting some hard terrain with it and abusing them a little bit. I'm hoping they hold up, and if they do, I'll continue to wear them. But
The glory of the pursuit.
the glory of the pursuit. So
What were you gonna say? I didn't mean to cut you off. I just
Oh,
didn't
no,
want to
it's
forget
fine.
about that when we got off time.
yeah, I had a bad Exodus camera
Shut
experience.
your mouth.
I know, but
Don't
Yep.
you bite the hand that feeds you.
I haven't put any food on my table yet.
Right. But they're great guys down there.
No, they are,
Right.
and their customer service was.
Well, you had a
top-notch.
crazy scenario.
It was ridiculous, and so
What happened?
I
What happened?
got my camera, I hung it in a tree, let it sit for a week, and then I went and pulled the card. And the first time I pulled the card, I was looking at the pictures. It's mid-August. It's been 80, 85 during the day and
Right.
like 70s at night. And it's saying my temperatures are in the 40s and the high 30s.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, well, I did pay a considerable amount of money for this camera, and they have this warranty.
Right.
So this obviously isn't right. It's off by a 20-degree temperature swing.
Mhm.
And so I get a hold of Exodus, and they're like, oh, yeah, that shouldn't be happening. So they send me another camera. Well, I open the box to the new camera, put batteries in it, flip it on, and the screen is pink.
So
It's
the
just-
screen was pink, or were your image?
The
Oh, so you
screen-
noticed it right away.
Was it like shaded in pink or was it,
It
just
was-
all pink?
It
just
was like
block?
in a Grateful Dead music video, pink.
Oh, wow.
Like
Yeah.
a
Like
bad acid
psychedelic.
trip. Yeah.
Nice.
Everything was just bright pink. But you could see,
What
see
was
all
in the
the
photo?
trees and
Right.
everything, but it was just everything was bright pink.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was like you
man.
put a filter over it, right?
Right. Yeah. So I was like, well, what the hell? Here I get this camera.
And so what did he? What was it? Something with the infrared sensor, or?
The problem with the temperature was a bad temperature sensor on the board. The pink, they were not sure exactly what the hell was going on.
So they needed to look into that one.
So they needed to look into that one. And then I got another camera, and that was pink.
Oh.
But-
Anybody who's uses trail cams knows how excited you are to check a card,
Right.
but then when you get a card and there's issues with it or doesn't properly function,
Right.
It's one could be one of the most disappointed
So-
things ever.
This was 3 cameras.
Well, no, it was 2 cameras because he took your camera back,
Right.
and then they ran. I think they ran a bunch of.
Tests on it.
Yeah,
Tests.
they took a bunch of pictures
And-
and this and that.
I started messing around when I got the 3rd camera back and it had the pink screen. I never had to just to clarify with everybody, I still had the one with the bad temperature sensor while this was all going on. So I'm still getting pictures out in the field on a camera.
Right, just
Because they send you a replacement before you mail back your other one.
Oh, that's nice.
So you can still...
So your camera through this whole process, your original camera was never removed from your location?
Never was.
Taking
it was
pictures.
Still out in the woods taking pictures. It just had bad temperature values while I'm dealing with this. And, you know, Chad, the owner himself, said, I hand tested this camera. I sent it to you. Here's an SD card in the camera with pictures proving that it works. Well, I get it, and I turn it on, and the screen's pink. And I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Whoa.
So, you know, to the point...
second one?
Yes, the second one with a pink
Wow.
screen. I don't know what happened,
It
but
was the same camera.
That's all I can figure.
Right,
No,
I think you're
it-
talking about
it
it.
was.
It has to be.
I talked to him.
Oh, it
Did he check out
Yeah.
the serial numbers on it or something like
They
that?
went through it. They took 400 photos with it.
Right.
No issues. And so a lot of times, and I talked to him about this
Right.
because obviously we're friends and we do business with them.
Right,
And
good,
so I
good
said,
folks down there.
what happened? You know what I mean? And he's like, well, you know, sometimes people put bad SD cards. He said, honestly, I was on a phone last week with a guy for an hour who was telling me the camera was bad because it wouldn't pick up the SD card. And then the guy's kind of starting to give it to me, you know, like.
Oh, I can't even imagine what they have to deal with.
And so he after an hour of them talking, Chad figures out the guy has a for a micro SD
adapter
in the camera,
Mhm.
and that's why it's saying no SD. So with a grain of salt, a lot of times they have to take into account, you know, so
You
if they
have to
physically
investigate,
have
right.
something in their hand and it's working, but
Right.
so that's they whatever, I guess you'd say they bench tested it. They took 400 photos with it. They're like, I don't know what he's talking about. This thing's not working. And I don't think at that point you had sent them any photos of the pink photos or any of that stuff, had you?
I had emailed them one, I think,
So
but that was dealing with a different person. Then I
Regardless.
got Chad's number,
right.
and I was working with him directly. And what it ended up being, because I got to the point where, like, I troubleshoot shit for a living. It's just what I do for a job. Electrical systems, I troubleshoot them.
Right.
So I'm like, what the hell's going on with this thing? And I've had my cell phone interfere with, like, testing equipment I'm using at work and stuff. So I turn my phone off, screen's still turning on pink. I went through all the trouble to even disconnect the Wi-Fi in my house. I was like, is the Wi-Fi throwing this off? And it's coming up pink. But I finally, like, I went into my workbench and I turned my workbench light on and I'm looking at the camera and I flip it on and the screen lights up normal. So under direct light, like on a sunny day, if you were outside and you flip this on, it comes on normal. But if you were in like a overcast day and you flip it on, it comes up pink. So something with the light sensor was causing that screen to go pink.
Ah.
So, but the whole time I'm going through all this, I'm talking to Chad, I'm relaying the information from him. They end up sending me another camera. So I've got a good functioning camera now. Everything's great. And their customer service, like, I don't want to dissuade people from working with Exodus because
Right.
those guys, they have that warranty and they stand by it 100% of the time.
Sounds like they did their best to.
Yeah, like I honestly felt like he felt bad for the experience I was having going through with this camera. And the whole time I'm dealing with this, I'll keep in mind that I had my other camera in the woods taking pictures, so it didn't cost me any photos or anything. But obviously there was some stress of dealing with all of it.
And you
Right.
got hooked up with them through me.
Right.
You never had a relationship with them
No.
at all. And, you know, I bought their product initially a year ago, was very impressed with it.
Right.
Just ended
Talked
up
about it
having
all the time.
conversing with them through social media, and then met them at a trade show this year and talk with them. Like, man, I really like these guys. I'd like to
Right.
support their business motto of
Mm-hmm.
small direct consumer. But, you know, their motto also was we make the highest end trail camera that basically money can afford for half the price of the competition.
Right.
And at the end of the day, that product has to live up to that. And I'll say that I've had Exodus Lift 1 now for going on my, this will be going through the second season. Haven't had a single issue with it.
Right.
It's been absolutely amazing. And we've had a number of the other Lift 2s. Well, yours was the only one that had problems out of
Right. I just
Right.
had 2.
12, I think 12 cameras that we bought.
Right.
Yeah.
They're
And
all
so
up there.
it was just a
snapping
crazy
away.
situation. But for you to buy a piece of gear for your first time,
Right.
your first experience with this company, and to get a bad camera out of the gate, I felt terrible. I'm like, oh my God, like this sucks. And I'm friends with them, and obviously you're my brother, so I was like, please, like, hopefully this works out and
Right.
everything's right. But it seems like everything got addressed. Like, you're happy, like you said, their customer service. They provide a 5-year warranty, and they stand behind it. Like, you don't call and get an automated system
No.
or talk to or leave a voicemail. You physically talk to one of the owners of the company.
Yeah, and they have the number where you text. It's right in the owner's manual. You get it. It's, whatever the phone number is. You text that phone number and you just write call in the text message. And within 30 seconds, my phone was ringing. One
Wow.
of them was
That's
calling
impressive.
me and talking to me. Let's figure this out. So
That's what sold me on
Right.
them, is when I had a not an issue with a camera, but a question about a setting.
mhm.
I used that, and yeah, like you said, within 30 seconds, I got a phone call from one of the owners. I'm like,
That's
this
awesome.
is an impressive business model.
Right. And if anybody's out there like doubting buying their cameras based on my experience, I am notorious for having
You're a black cat.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
there's like a little rain cloud over my head all the time. So
That's why you're so angry.
There's definitely a historical pattern that repeats itself.
oh yeah, I'm the guy that every time you go out to eat, his food comes out like 10 minutes after everybody else is done eating.
With
so,
the incorrect order.
right. So
Oh man.
Um,
On the flip side of that, I just got a new HHA sight this year and really enjoyed it sighting it in. Well, I had some issues with it where I needed to resight it in again, ordered some new arrows, and I looked all over their website. I could not find a phone number. All it was email. And me personally, I don't like that. I like to
I
see
like
a
to
phone
talk to
number. I
somebody,
want a
too.
phone number. Especially, I mean, they
call
have
me
high-end product.
old-fashioned.
Right. Well, I had to email few times to try to relay, like try to tell him what I thought I explained it pretty well, but we had to go like 3 different times back and forth.
So you
replying
guys
to each
went
other.
tit for tat for a little bit.
Right. Till I finally, he could give me like just a quick like, hey, yeah, I need to turn the dial all the way to this side, and then you can reset it and put a new sight and strip on it. That was like, oh man, I just wish I could have called you and talked to you for a second. So I was a little disappointed in that.
Yeah.
I still think they're pretty good sites, but
Yeah, I
You know,
like
it's
a
my
phone
first
number
season.
too.
a phone number, please.
You can call Easton, which is a huge company, and you can
Yeah.
talk to a person that will answer your questions like within
I think
a
it's
minute.
important. I think that's really important.
Yep.
So
I
that-
had
I just wanted
questions
to-
this year about Easton aluminum arrows, which I'm sure they probably don't get a whole lot of calls on.
Not anymore, at
But
least.
I'll tell you what, man, I either just got the right guy or they have good employees working where they answer their phones, because he's like, well, I can help you out with that. And he walked me right through a spine. I had questions about a spine chart, you know.
Oh.
And he's like, when's the last time I got a call from a
Yeah,
guy
he just
asking about
has to
spine questions on aluminum arrows?
blow an inch of dust off the spine chart for the aluminums.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, and just we can wrap up on the trail camera thing, but I'll say that when that happened, obviously I was bummed too.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what are the other options out there for trail cameras, like, and for warranties and whatnot? So I looked at a lot of cameras. Specifically, I was in that new Cabela's too.
Yeah.
So I looked at every camera that Cabela's had on the shelf, and I couldn't find one that had a warranty longer than a year.
Yeah.
And I asked Chad that. I said, what are other camera warranties in the market? And he said, I think Moultrie has some cameras that have 2-year warranties.
Yeah. I saw a couple companies do 2 years, but no one ever touches close to 5.
3-year, yeah, I don't see 3, and especially don't see 5.
Right.
So to have a 5-year warranty on a camera, I mean, it's just
Yeah. I had.
It shows
the-
confidence. It gives you buying confidence.
Right.
And you just hope that your experience is going to be as good as what you had. So
I
you had a
wouldn't-
great experience with them.
After my experience, like after it all fleshed out, like I didn't want to talk about it on the podcast while this was all happening,
Right.
because I was out of town for a week on vacation and stuff. So it was drawn out for like 3 weeks, this whole thing, how it played out. I didn't want to talk about it on the show until like I had a conclusion
Resolved,
on
right.
it. And now after it and looking back on it, I would not hesitate again to buy a camera from those guys because they honored the warranty. Bad luck. I got 2 bad cameras. What are the odds? Fairly good for me, but not for anybody else.
Well,
you
and I
know?
think it's a strong thing to add too, because of your unique situation and all the hassle that you went through. The guys sent you what? Sent you another camera, right?
Right. Yeah.
Well,
They sent you.
I never asked for it. I didn't honestly want it. I felt bad taking it, but they did because of the headache of dealing with it all. So
So now you have 2 cameras. They sent you your camera, a
Right.
good new working
I wouldn't
camera.
expect.
And they
That's
said,
a crazy deal.
Sorry for the headache.
Right.
I didn't honestly want to talk about it on the show because I
Right.
didn't want people to like
Yeah, I don't-
bug the shit
I
out of
want
those
2
guys.
cameras.
Right. Yeah, I don't want people to think that that's the, normal protocol. But you had an abnormal, what they identified as an
Way
abnormal
abnormal.
situation.
Right.
And that, they felt that was, I was happy to hear that too. So.
I'd like to sign up for 2 more cameras.
Because
for
the
next
other
season.
option,
No,
I think,
really,
the other option for a camera of that quality is Reconics. And I think
theirs
they're
are twice the price.
I think-
Twice the price, I think.
Could you Google a Reconics camera for me? I recently heard a guy on a podcast telling me that he had 40 Reconics cameras,
Oh my gosh.
and then I stopped listening to that podcast
Yeah,
because
that's like
it's like, cool, dude. That's so I just need to go spend 20 grand so I can locate deer, huh?
right. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm looking at this Reconics here. Looks like their newer model. Oh, here's another one. It's a Reconics Hyperfire infrared digital game camera. $550.
Wow. What's the warranty? Might take you a second,
No,
huh?
it's. Oh, I almost bought it.
But I think we still have the deal worked out with Exodus where if they email the show, right, they get a
Yeah, if you're interested in Exodus camera, through our platform, if you're hearing about them, or you just want to give us a little, I guess, a kickback for
Right.
hearing about it on the show, you can email us. I have Chad, the owner's direct email, and he'll give you a discount on a camera.
Right.
So maybe after the first of the year, we'll have like a promotional code,
yeah.
something a little more
I got to
official.
imagine like those guys, all these companies, there's so many people.
Oh, yeah.
Just look on Instagram and see how many people are starting hunting companies and stuff. They must get hassled all the time. So
Right. Everybody wants.
I don't blame people for sitting it out for 6 months to see who's serious and who's not and the
Right.
long-term things.
100%.
All I've gotten from their warranty, skimming over it, is 1 year limited.
Really?
With Reconics, with over twice. I mean, twice the price.
Really?
1 year is all I'm seeing is on this. Reconics hardware products are warranted for 1 year
Wow.
during this period. Normal use, yada yada yada. This even says normal use, and it's defects in workmanship. Which is okay. I'm buying something that you guys messed up or whatever didn't last. With Exodus, they don't. I mean, it's almost like you could run over it with your car. I do a lot of stupid things and break stuff, so that's
Yeah, I
kind
mean,
of
they
Well,
do
they
reassuring
give
for
you
me.
50% off if it's
Stolen,
stolen or damaged.
right?
That's surprising to me. Only a year. I thought they'd have 2 or 3 years. I thought they'd have a.
I haven't necessarily heard anything bad about them. I'm sure they're great cameras, but
No.
for the price point,
What was
Yeah.
the
For the
price
average
point
person?
on their cheapest camera?
their cheapest one, I didn't look. I can scout it for a second.
So what's the price of the lift? It's
220 something?
no, it's
240?
think
Under
it's-
230.
I think it's 229,
Yeah.
and then I think that there's a bunch of other people's promotional codes out there. And then, like I said, I think our discount is $20.
Right.
So for $209, you get a camera that's 12 megapixel, 1080 video with sound. That hybrid mode's awesome.
Oh, that's great.
We fell in love with that.
Yep.
That is
so
cool.
It's
I had a
two-
picture of a 1.5-year-old buck on my camera. So with the hybrid mode, it snaps a photo and then it takes a video.
30. 30 second?
You can set it.
Okay.
I think it's default at like 5 or 10 seconds, and then you can set however long you want it.
Yeah.
I set mine at like 15 seconds, and I had a picture of a 1.5-year-old buck. So I was like, I'll take a look at it. You know, that's how I use the hybrid mode. I see the pictures, and then like if I see a deer in the picture, because sometimes you still get false triggers,
Right.
you know, when you got it set up. Or you'll see squirrels or raccoons or something.
Something triggers, it's just not a deer.
But if you
right?
see a deer, you know, like, I'll watch the video next after that. Well, I click on the video, and I got this 1.5-year-old buck just kind of walking around.
Milling.
And then, like, the last 3 seconds of this video, this big 8-point walks in behind it, which I never would
yeah.
have caught if I would have just had it set on photo with, you know.
Was he not on it long enough to catch on photo? That buck?
Well, the 1.5 triggered the camera.
This is in
Right.
August, right?
Right.
So they're
Right.
still in bachelor groups.
Right, so
Right.
they're walking around in bachelor groups, and if I would have just had like a 30-second delay on the trigger, I would have never I possibly could not have seen it. He wasn't in the next photo, you know, I just caught him in the tail end of that video where he just kind of cruised right past the camera.
Yeah, so I don't know how many adjustments are on that. I just recently started to play with that feature, just set my cameras up that way, but the way mine's set up is that it takes 2 photos right away, and then it goes into what you can set for a time on a video clip.
Yeah.
Yours were set for 10 seconds.
I think default they're to 10. I cranked them up to 15.
Mine are at 30, and I think you can take up to a minute, maybe more. I'm not certain,
We could check.
but mine's at 30. And a 30-second video clip's pretty nice.
Yeah.
And, you know, you wouldn't want to, if you're leaving a camera long term, you wouldn't want to pile through a ton of video clips.
No.
But you can go through the photos.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what I do. I check
And
the
you can
little
see when-
thumbnails, you know,
yeah,
you set
right.
your computer to load it up as a thumbnail, and then you can see the pictures, and then click on that next video. And
Yep.
man, because the deer are moving around constantly, you can get some good angles on the racks and whatnot to actually see.
Right.
What's
Yeah.
going on or characteristics of the deer or
Yeah,
whatever.
it makes it easier to age them and
It
everything.
definitely does.
and not,
Like, yeah, when they're moving and turning and whatnot, and
and not even to sound like a sales pitch for the cameras, but
Sell me.
when you put that camera in your hand, it really is the best quality. Just putting your hands on it, opening it up, messing with the interface and the screen in there, everything. It's the best quality camera I've ever used.
Yeah,
Yep.
that screen's sweet.
Honestly, it's the setup is so simple.
That's
the-
what,
it's
that
just-
was the
it's
biggest thing out of the gate that
super easy.
I loved about them was that the way you navigate through the camera. Though a ton of the other cameras I have, you know, because I'll have different brands and whatnot. It's like the format to
day.
go through there. To get through there is difficult,
Yeah.
and theirs is just yes, no,
Right.
enter.
Oh, I got the Exodus now, so I've been using that at the farm, but I went up to the cabin 2 weeks ago for Labor Day weekend, and we have a couple old mole trees that we just use out there because I've never
Who
bought
doesn't
an
have one?
expensive trail camera before. Like the Exodus was my first venture into like a higher end trail camera.
Mine too.
And now after having the Exodus and going back to trying to like set the time and date on that mole tree,
It's like
I
you have
pretty
to learn
much
it every time. It's
I just wanted to
frustrating.
throw it into the garbage can. I got a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old, and they heard words out of me that they shouldn't have because I'm just trying to set this trail camera.
Yeah, it's annoying. And
Oh,
then you
it's
kind of
brutal.
lose confidence too when you're setting the thing. I mean, for me, the only other camera that I had was a stealth cam that, you know, I'd been using in the last year. And every time I go to that camera, I have to bring the book with me, which is
Oh, wow.
ridiculous.
I had a stealth can too. I think it had like double D batteries or something. The thing was
Double
giant.
D
It's one of the
batteries.
older
I don't
ones.
think that's a real size, dude.
I
I'm
think
just
that's,
thinking double D's.
think
Double
that's
D's are on my mind for
something
whatever
that
reason.
you just made up.
Yeah, but no, but D batteries. C, maybe C. Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, but they were giant. And
What about the batteries?
the Exodus? They've got the standard AA batteries,
Yeah.
but the drawer too. Do you guys? I like that.
Yeah, it's
you
nice.
load them up in there. It seems like you can pull that out separate from the camera. You're not trying to jam them in there. You know, you can leave the camera on the tree if you got it set just the way you like it. There's a lot of good features.
Yeah, I like that too. How the battery tray just punches out, and
Right.
you're not messing around, kind of moving the camera around
You
and
don't
stuff.
have
It's like
to
a
take the camera down off the tree. You know, if you got it mounted on an angle, you still do. But if it's flush mounted on the tree, you can
Slide
drop
out.
that battery drawer and change the
yeah, it's a
batteries without-
fast, clean way of
Yeah.
you could have another tray. Actually, well, I don't know if you could order trays from them, but from the Lift 1 and the Lift 2, you can interchange
those
all the
trays.
trays.
Right.
So if you had a tray, I don't know if that's something that they sell, like additional one, you could actually have your batteries loaded in that.
Like
when
your
you
muzzle
walked
loader
out.
preload,
Almost like a
ready to roll.
that's what I was
Right,
getting at.
that's
Almost
cool.
like a clip for a magazine for a handgun.
Right.
And just boom, drop it out, drop it in, switch your card out, and you're walking away. And you're not sitting there with a book, reading through the
Right.
thing, dropping batteries all over. I mean, because you're putting scent down, you're dropping batteries all over and stuff. It's hard to.
Right. You want to make
I'm
that as
just
brief as
picturing
possible.
like the infomercial commercial where like the old lady's fighting with a blanket instead of buying the Snuggie or whatever she's supposed to be wearing.
Oh.
Just
What-
batteries strewn everywhere.
I just can't get these batteries. No, the other thing, you guys running lithium ion or alkaline?
Yeah, I am now.
You're
Yeah, I
doing
got
lithium
Through
ion?
the summer, I run elk. You can run elk. I mean, they say the camera doesn't function to its full
Like their night
stability
photos and
without,
stuff like that.
and we know from power tools that lithium is definitely far
It
superior.
holds its high charge longer.
But they come with a price. So through the summer, I just ran alkaline,
Mhm.
and from March till September, the batteries were still at like 60% on alkaline.
Right.
But when it starts to get into colder weather, like
It drains them, right?
when I put my fall food plots in, I threw a set of lithium batteries in there. I won't replace those until next season.
Right. They're nice.
The
So
lithium are not anymore. They're expensive up front, but they last longer. So they're not really that much.
And you're
As
getting a
far
better
as like
quality.
hours per use per dollar, it's not that big of a difference.
I'll say
Might be a
this.
slight increase.
It
in
hurts the
cost.
first time you buy them though.
Right.
Oh, when you're not ready.
It's like
for it.
$2 a battery or
Right.
something.
I'll
like
say
that.
this too, and this is pretty critical for anybody that's going to put a camera out somewhere far away that you're not going to see for a long time. It's really cheap to buy a battery tester. On 2 occasions now, I've bought a pack of lithium batteries just off the shelf, and one of them had a bad cell.
No way.
And if you have one bad cell, if you have 7 bad lithium batteries and one is bad, that camera won't even turn on.
Ugh, that's horrible.
And so
I'm thinking about doing an Amazon bulk order.
a
Of
very
lithium
cheap-
ion
Don't buy
batteries.
them on Amazon.
No.
That's another thing I actually read the reviews on because I
All
was looking
bad.
for like cheapest way to
deal,
buy
right.
lithium batteries. Amazon sells the Energizer lithiums,
Right.
but if you read the reviews, they're like 2 stars, 1 star, like
a
Really?
lot of bad cells. or
bad
something.
cells. They're like they sat around forever, you know,
In a
like
warehouse. Really,
past
that's
their
disappointing.
expiration date.
So that's what I have now is a little battery tester, and I'll just make sure they're all good. And if
Yeah.
you have 8 good lithium AA
It'll
batteries,
last for a year.
it'll last over a year.
Oh wow.
The cheapest place I found them was at Meyer lithium batteries. I know Meyer's a Michigan-based
Company.
company, but
But got a
there's
lot of
got to
Michigan
be.
followers, right?
Yeah.
What other on kind of along the same line? What brand or size SD cards you guys going with?
I don't pay any attention to the brand or whatever, but I mean, why
'Cause
wouldn't
there's
you
certain
get?
quality levels. Like it,
You gotta get a class 10.
2.
Get a class.
You want a
10.
class
10.
10.
10.
It's a little. There'll be a little small font on the
Right,
SD card,
yep.
and it's a C with a 10 in the middle of it.
Yep.
Not a C4. Otherwise, it can't
enough
write.
function.
Your
It can't-
1080 video is not going to work.
It
right.
can't send the data to the card at the speed that it needs to.
In
Right.
the manual for the camera, it
Tells you.
recommends like a ScanDisk Class 10
Right.
SD card. ScanDisk makes like the best solid state memory. So
I think I
And
ordered
you
2
can
every
find them
time I
pretty
order a
much
camera.
everywhere.
I'll
Yeah.
get 2 SD cards with every camera. It's kind
And
of
I just always
automatic.
get 32s because why not? I mean, it's maybe $1 or 2 more.
they're usually under $20 for like a 32 gig SD card.
That's kind of what I'm rolling.
But yeah,
to.
you do have to have the right card. If you have the wrong card in there,
Yeah.
you're like, I had that issue. I had the wrong card in. One of the videos a little choppy and weird, and I'm like, oh, this
Yeah,
sucks.
the
And
class, the memory class is how fast the camera can write to that solid state memory. So like a class 4, it can't write fast enough to process all the data that the camera's putting out.
Right. We should move off cameras. We beat them for a while, but one thing real quick before we do is these things sitting in front of us that were sent to us by Common Hunter.
Yep.
They are a trail camera viewer. It's essentially an adapter, right?
Yeah. No.
These ones are for iPhones, but they make them for Android phones as well.
Will that fit mine with a life-proof case on it? Do you think?
I think if you look in there, there's an extension piece that they give.
Plug her in, see if
Yep.
it works, Drew.
So they
Just the tip.
obviously sportsmen, because that part's critical, right?
Oh yeah. Fit.
So
I'd like to read a card, because I actually recently or last season bought a card reader for my phone, and I don't like the way it reads it out.
I'm going to go put this in front of the camera. Anybody that's watching on YouTube can see what this thing is. And so it's essentially just a device that you install your SD card in. And there's an app that you load on your phone. And then you can view all of your trail camera photos right on your phone. You don't need a computer.
No.
And
It's got a USB 3.0 connector on it too that you can plug into your computer. It's got a micro SD and a SD card slot, so
Nice.
whatever kind of card you're running in your camera, you can look at your pictures with this on your computer or right on your iPhone.
My big question was the one I got, the format for looking at the photos. It would only give you could only look at a large thumbnail version of it. So there's no way to really pick out what's going on in any of the photos. And the only way to view the photos are to download them. So I
On
have to
your
essentially download them all to scan through each individual photo to see what's on it. That's why I really dislike the one I have now.
On your phone.
Yeah, I think it's in my backpack. That's what I was looking for. It plugs into, I don't think it's an Apple brand. Maybe it is, but the format's horrible. I just really was disappointed in that purchase.
I've never used one before. You know, I always just have extra SD cards for my
Swap
cameras
'em.
and swap them. But
It's kind of nice to sit in
it's
your
a
tree
cool
stand.
idea, especially if you're hunting. You know, like we were talking about using them out of state to like throw in one area that you're not sitting. Then you could actually walk out there and check it right away. But
Yeah, if like it's on the way to your stand, or you can swap cards, sit up in your stand maybe during the day, and then flop through some photos and see
you're
what's
always
going on.
looking for something to do when you're sitting in your
Right.
tree stand.
Keep from moving. You know, if you can make small movements and entertain yourself a little bit
Oh,
when
yeah.
things get tough. Yeah, I get bored too.
You can only go on Instagram so many times.
Yeah, like come on, somebody put something up. But
No,
no,
they're
I'm
cool.
interested to see how they work.
I think I don't know how much they cost. I think they're relatively cheap though.
Do you know the price tag on these?
I'm not exactly certain, but if you go to Facebook, has a Common Hunter page, and then on Instagram, common_hunter, commonhunter.com. They're looks like right out of Bay City, Michigan here.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
So I was asking the guy some questions on Instagram about them because our friend Russell, who bought 2 real nice Exodus lift trail cameras, doesn't even have a computer that works.
Rusty.
So he has all these nice trail cameras.
Can't even look at the photos.
Can't even look at the photos.
I looked at his photos. He brought his SD card over one day. He's got some nice deer on there too.
Oh,
that
I
he's not
bet.
looking at.
So
Russell knows how to-
I reached out to these guys and was just asking them a couple questions, and they said, "Hey, we'd like to send you guys a couple to check out and see what you think." And it seems legit. It seems like a nice, usable thing.
Not a lot of people have desktop computers or laptops. I mean, you can do so much with your phone.
Right.
Makes sense just to have that ability to.
They are
absolutely
computers
does.
now, the phones.
I don't think these are very expensive. I wish I knew the price. Well, you could probably
Look 'em up.
look real quick.
I guess
me
around
go
the
to-
$20 is the typical price
Let me go
range
to-
for those.
commonhunter.com here and find out.
While he's doing that, back to double D's.
Let's talk about it.
Got me thinking. No, it's rude.
That's not.
It's not. It's not at all. But this isn't the proper time or place.
Where were you wanting to go, Kevin? You had an idea, I could see.
I don't know.
The other gear.
Is there anything else that you can think of for like new gear? I mean, we've essentially made all our
These
arrows.
suppressors
I'll
are
say
sweet.
something. Yeah, let's talk about that real quick. But
Right.
before that, I'll say that the that weight system for anybody that's trying to mess around with their tuning of arrows or FOC. That gold tip weight system. That
What do they call that? Front loading or rear loading the front? Or what is
I don't
it?
know.
I mean,
That's something.
I thought you.
Are we off the subject of double Ds? Or?
No. I'm just you actually add the weight in through the back side of the
Correct.
arrow.
So you pull the knockout,
Right.
and then they have weights that, it's essentially, a 3-foot Allen wrench that you screw these weights on the back of your insert. And the ones that I bought, they come in dozen packs. They're 50 grains. So, and you can stack them.
Nice.
So I have 250 grains together off the back of my insert. My insert only weighs, I think, 15 grains. But by threading those in, essentially now I have a 115 grain insert.
Nice.
So then when I put a 100 grain broadhead on, I have 215 grains. And Drew played around with it a little bit today. I mean, it's sweet, right?
What's the
Oh,
FOC
yeah,
on
they're
those
cool
things? Do you
system.
know?
I haven't measured them yet. We just got those built.
They're
just
cool
today.
looking arrows. They look wood
Yeah.
or wood grain,
Yeah.
and they're carbon.
Yeah,
Yep.
they're
They're
Carbon
sweet.
Express
400 spine.
traditional or something.
Heritage, they call them.
Heritage.
I actually sanded all the lettering and stuff off of those ones because I wanted them to look like cedar arrows, and I can't stand all that writing on there. You make an arrow that's supposed to be, a traditional arrow, and then put all these fancy lettering and stuff on it. It kind of looks like dog shit, in my opinion. So I actually took sandcloth, and I sanded all of their lettering and logos and everything off of there.
I dig it though.
No, it looks like a legit cedar
It
shaft.
does.
Right.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
What's the Jeep grains per inch on that?
I couldn't
Tell
tell you. No.
You might probably be able to go on.
But that particular
Express
arrow
website.
right there, I'll shoot a 175 grain broadhead. So there's 100 and there's it'll be 290 grains on the front of that, and that's gonna be for my 40-pound longbow. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. But that goal for anybody that wants to play around with shooting a heavier arrow or having just a heavier front of center,
You don't want to buy all new arrows.
and those
or
are
whatever.
Carbon Express arrows.
Right.
And the gold tip system worked fine in there. There's different diameters. You definitely have to look at that. But the diameter of that Carbon Express arrow worked with that same diameter for the gold tip arrow, and I was able to put that right in there. So
Nice.
the suppressors.
Yeah.
Before we get too far away, the SD card readers were $25.
Okay.
Beautiful.
They had a couple different models, but the one that we have in front of us is $25.
Yeah, so shout out to Common Hunter for sending these things over. We're going to give one to our special friend Russell and let him try it out for us. And then they listened to the Dan Infalt episode, and they like Alex Schlosser, so they sent one, said give one to Alex.
No, nice.
They didn't
That's
send
awesome.
me one.
They're like, yeah, here,
Send
Kevin.
Alex
No,
one.
you don't get one.
Yeah. Hey, you got that Alex guy's contact number?
He's really cool.
cool story about
yeah,
your
he's a cool dude.
Give him some free stuff. Tell him we said hi.
right.
Oh,
So-
that's great.
Yeah, well, it looks like a cool thing. So.
It does.
Um,
It's compact.
Yep, and again, what was it? CommonHunter.com. So right here out of Michigan.
I'm gonna check out their Instagram.
Do it.
I'm gonna.
Suppressors.
What else? Yeah, well,
S-
suppressors.
Stabilizers.
Suppressors. We're not shooting pistols here.
No, they call them suppressors. I was surprised.
Really?
Yeah.
Right on their
Oh,
website.
yeah.
The tap is
and
the.
so
company.
I don't know if I'm going to put it out before this podcast or it'll be the one after this podcast, but the owner of Titanium Archery Products, Tap Archery, Sam, I talked to him this week on the phone, and I just got to get the audio together. I don't know if people have already listened to it when I'm saying this, because I'm not exactly sure if I'm going to get that one done before this one or it'll be the next one up. But going through the whole scoop of what these things are, and a lot of the reason that he calls them or they're labeled as a suppressor is one, he said, honestly, just look at it. He
Yeah.
says it looks like a suppressor for a gun.
Right.
It wasn't done by accident. He says, I think it's just a simple look and it looks cool. The other is, it does exactly that. It suppresses vibration. So it's a titanium stabilizer that has some type of compound
like a gelatin
I
inside
know,
of it or
I'm
something.
almost tempted
magic.
to get the Sawzall out. Sam be so mad.
Oh my gosh! Just ask him.
We're
He'll
going to
tell
give
you.
away
Just
this
ask him what's in
stabilizer,
there.
but it's going to be cut in half.
Like, Kevin,
We'll weld it back together. Is this duct tape?
I don't know.
Yeah, but there's some type of material in there.
Right.
It
And then-
almost feels like a dead blow hammer. Like,
Like a
it doesn't have,
sand
like,
or-
the sand. Like, you know how you can hear a dead blow when you smack it off something? This doesn't, but when you hit something with it, it just, like,
it's like something
stops
fluid
dead
inside
in
of
your
it,
hand.
maybe.
I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know what it
it's-
is.
I would imagine, if I had to guess, it's some type of gelatinous material.
That's what I'd guess.
Flubber.
Flubber.
But the housing and everything else is titanium. And then it has a threaded end cap that you can add or take off weight to.
So that comes
essentially-
off.
Yep, that comes off. Maybe not on that model.
Oh.
Yeah, there's multiple
Don't break
models.
the free one.
Yep. So we each picked one up. What, 2 weeks ago?
Right.
We've been shooting with them.
Oh, I
Been
love
resight
mine.
my bow back in with it, and I could tell a difference.
I
can definitely tell
I
the
could
difference.
tell. I mean, a big reason that I reached out to him is because I'm shooting a 10-year-old bow, and it's noisy and vibrates. And I was looking for a way to try to reduce that a little bit. And so I thought, hey, this is what this guy's claiming, that this thing soaks up vibration and noise, and noticeable difference. My bow's still not silent. I mean, it was pretty loud,
Yeah.
but it was a noticeable difference. And I've never had accuracy issues with that bow, but I'm shooting very well.
No, they're a nice stabilizer. That's for sure. I mean, I've had a couple different, like, fuse stabilizers and stuff, and nothing like this where you just smack it in your hand and, like, it just absorbs all the vibration. I don't know what they have going on inside of these things, but
Sam is seems to be a very intelligent guy. He is very upfront,
yeah.
as upfront as anybody gets that owns and runs a business in an industry. And it was a pleasure talking with him. And on that podcast, he goes pretty in depth about where this all originated from. He was making baseball bats, like aluminum baseball bats.
Mm-hmm.
And, those have to have some type of factor to absorb vibration. And that's how where it kind of all started. But he's just kind of starting to get some recognition through the industry, and he said it's nothing that I'm trying to force down people's throats. We're getting the product into their hands, and they're finding out that it's a better alternative to what else is out there. So obviously we're not really involved with competitive archery, but you see those guys and they got 6-foot stabilizers hanging off the bow,
off
and
every
2 off the
angle.
side.
We're not
and-
those guys.
No.
We're not those guys. We
No.
love shooting our bows.
But they make a line of products for those guys.
Yeah.
Well, they do.
They do. Yep. They make like competitive archery products, and then they make a line of hunting.
Yeah, they have a couple,
stabilizers.
like, that's the Hunter model Ryan's holding there, and then they have, like, an Elite, and I thought there was, like, another middle line, too, that was... But they're fairly priced, even this Hunter model is, like, $50, I think, which isn't bad for a high-end stabilizer.
Yeah. So titanium archery products, if
Yeah.
you want to check out what we're talking about. And, it's no Cobra. It's no Cobra stabilizer.
Just a big hunk of
But
steel.
you'll struggle to find those nowadays, as I am trying to find one for my 1990
Here, do you want to just
bear.
add some extra weight to your bow?
Yeah.
Put a Cobra on.
No, they are legit, man. They're super nice. And they have all different kinds of colors and stuff. For as tough as our Hunter models make us, we do like to color match our bows when it boils
Right.
down to it. So
Right. Help
Yep.
make a better selfie.
Sam's a great dude. He stands behind his product. It has a money back guarantee. You don't like it? Send it back to him, he said.
And a cool thing that I noticed that they do is they will make like custom logos on the side of your
Right.
stabilizer. So if you have like a little hunting thing you're trying to push, you and your buddies are filming your stuff or whatever
Deer
on
Hunter
YouTube.
podcast, maybe.
Yeah, or Deer Hunter podcast, so you can get it spelled right out on the side of your stabilizer there. So
That's cool.
Double
kind of
D.
Double D.
double D, yeah.
Um,
Little added. feature there that they can do for you.
Yeah, and Sam was nice enough. We want to help him try to get these out to people. For anybody that's in the market for that type of product, trying to reduce the vibration of your bow, which potentially helps your arrow go downrange a little more accurate and quiet your bow up. I feel like it's a pretty good product. So it's Titanium Archery Products. He's got Instagram. He's on Facebook. And then Sam was nice enough to give our listening audience a promotional code for anything that they want off the site. They also make the cable or the string stops.
Yes.
They make a string stop.
Those
so
are
it's
huge. If you don't
Which
have
is what your bow needs.
my bow needs it.
That
And I
makes-
told him I'm going to order one this weekend.
Yeah.
But which is sweet because he gave us a promo code DeerHunter20
right.
for 20% off.
Oh wow,
That's
I know.
awesome.
that's a big discount.
Yep, that's what I
It
said.
pays
I'm
to
like,
listen to Deer Hunter
I
podcast.
told him, I said, are you sure? Because I don't want to have to edit that out. Because I've had other guys give promo codes away,
Right.
and they're like, oh, yeah, sure. It was a little
Yeah.
heavy. Maybe I'll back that off, and I have to go in and edit,
Right.
But no, he's like, no, I want to give your listeners a good deal. So 20% off. And,
Wow.
if you use promo code DeerHunter20. And yeah, I told him, I said, yeah, payday's Friday, I'll be jumping on there and ordering one and using the promo code because that is what my bow needs. Doesn't have
Yeah.
one.
No.
Yeah, that'll probably seal the deal.
Yeah, I think that'll quiet that right down.
Makes your bow look sweet too, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean,
It's
they
all
do.
about
They
that.
look like
Suppressors on them.
Yes.
Yeah, I got my bow here.
I just feel more confident with a nice big suppressor on the front of my bow.
I don't know what it is. But I do honestly feel like I could tell a difference, and I wasn't sure before about suppressors and if they did anything really, because there's a lot of things in this industry that are money grabs. They're like,
No
okay,
doubt.
we know you guys just want more gear, more or gadgets on stuff,
Right.
because I'm always looking for something that's cool or
Right.
that I think that's gonna make it a little bit better out in the woods. But I think I can tell a difference.
Yeah, it definitely does absorb a lot of the vibration. There's no doubt.
Right. Well, the other thing too I did, other than I was telling about my HHA site, which I do like, I was a little disappointed in the customer service, was Drew made me a dozen. You made me a dozen brand new Black Eagle arrows. I went with a heavy shaft arrow, heavier field points, outserts, everything. Super happy with the arrows, how they fly. I definitely lost a few sighting it in because these suckers, they just dig deep. There's so much momentum and front weight on them, and there's it's micro diameter arrow.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, I got metal detectors out in the yard because they'll bury like an inch below the soil. But when I upgraded those arrows, my old quiver didn't work, so I actually had to get a new quiver this season too. So
I told you that that was going to be an issue right when you first opened those up.
they're called Deep Impact, Black Eagle Deep Impact arrows. But yeah, they're just a small. They call it a micro diameter. Well, the quiver I had would not hold on to them. Either quiver. I had two quivers. A Bowen. Is it Bohn?
I think it's boning.
Boning. We're so dumb.
Just boning with your micro diameter.
But that didn't work, and I had a octane quiver, which I noticed you have like the same one.
Yeah.
That wouldn't work. I did some research, and I had a buddy that's a hardcore Matthews guy. I like my Matthews. He's like, put the Matthews quiver on, and it'd probably be a great quiver. I looked at it, and there's certain things that weren't appealing to me. So I went with a company called Tight Spot, and I don't know if Kevin, you've had a chance to check them out. I had to do a different type of bracket on it to get it away from my adjustable sight.
Let me check out your tight spot here, Ryan.
But there's a bracket on there that goes between the HHA sight and the riser that puts the quiver farther back on the bow, so it's out of the way of the dial. You can adjust it several different ways, but it sits super flat profile to your bow, and it's fully adjustable lengths, setups, tightness of the grip on the arrow. Very impressed, but they're not cheap,
How much was it?
About $140, $150.
Holy dog shit.
But take the quiver off, use that lever, and it slides off the side. Super quiet. They talk about it actually will work as a stabilizer on your bow as well.
Yeah.
Try to remove torque.
There's no doubt that this
Carbon fiber.
The way that this connects to the bow is
Sweet.
super slick.
Yep, and it slides right off very quiet. So once you get that all the loosened up, you slide it off very quiet, and it's a nice fit. I'm
Yeah.
impressed. I didn't want to spend the money, but I figured I'm gonna keep this
Well,
with
you
this
didn't
bow.
have,
I'm
really
gonna
have an option, right? I mean,
I could have probably bought a cheaper brand, but I've been putting so much in this, and I don't want a noisy quiver, or, and I'm gonna keep this to my next bow. So it's an upgrade to not only this bow, but my next one probably that I'll move my equipment over to. So I'm a sold on the brand as well as for the tight spot.
sold on that tight spot,
I'm
huh?
sold on that tight spot.
Aren't we all?
But no, they're great. It's a great quiver.
Yeah, your bow's set up nice, man. You got way nicer shit on your bow than I do on my bow.
Well, Drew hooked it up. He did the strings, the arrows, which got me going. I've been wanting to go to the HHA sites for a while on a smaller pin, so I'm with that now. And then
What's this rest?
it's a ripcord. That's my original one.
Yeah,
I'd like to maybe
it's nice.
upgrade that in the future, but it hasn't given me any problems. So I'm.
Well,
probably
let me
not
know
gonna
when
do
you
that.
want to upgrade it, because I'll give you some cash for this one, because it's a lot nicer than the one that I have, and then you can go buy yourself a new one.
The ripcords are really nice, and I may upgrade with a new bow or something like that.
Did you
someday.
put this green string in here?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's nice.
Drew did a bang up job on my bow.
All of our
it
bows
brought,
look good.
Oh yeah, every
Thanks
single
to
one.
Drew primarily.
Right.
Welcome.
Drew's our bow tech guy,
Don't
an
say
arrow
that.
tech guy.
I'm
Well,
a
he's
tech in training. I'm your bow apprentice.
he's teaching us stuff. He's learning stuff, working on our bows. He's getting a pretty cool little shop set up in his garage, and he's taking care of his crazy hunting buddies. So I appreciate it. I can't tell him thanks enough for what he did for me this season. So.
Well, I appreciate the feedback. I just trying to learn the craft,
Yeah.
It's
Like
cool.
I said, I work on all my own. Like, I don't take my truck in to get it fixed. I fix it in the driveway. So why should my bow be any different?
Right.
Well, it's definitely nice.
it's an
'cause
investment. Though.
It's
Yeah.
harder and harder to find a good bow shop.
That was where you started from too. Where
Where we had some bad
disappointing.
experiences, and
Yeah.
then you're away from
it's
them.
different everywhere. Obviously, some guys are fortunate to be by some great shops, I'm sure, but we're not.
I have learned one thing, that it's really hard to make any kind of money if you ever wanted to, because everything's expensive,
Right.
Like your bow shops, you might feel like you're paying a ton of money to get a tune job, $150 to get your strings changed and whatnot. But
The amount of time it takes
man,
and
the
the cost
materials
of stuff.
are expensive. Obviously, I don't have any kind of dealer pricing or anything like that, because I'm
Just a
not-
dude.
right. I'm just doing it out of my garage and ordering the shit online. But yeah, it's a pricey endeavor, man. Those guys aren't making anything for labor, as far as I can tell. They actually keep like a shop open and everything. I won't complain about paying pro shop prices anymore, because there's just not a lot of money in that.
You got to pay people for their labor if they're
Right.
good, But the disappointing thing is, like you were talking, Kevin, and I've experienced a lot. You go pay somebody to do your bow, and it looks good and it holds up, and then a few hunts later, you're out in the woods during hunting season. You don't have time to bring your bow back in there. It wasn't. It's not. Maybe some serving starts to untie or something. You're just disappointed.
Right.
But now we've got our buddy here that I could swing by his house and bring a 6-pack over and say, Drew, could you fix my bow for me?
Yeah, I definitely will work for beer. So
Yeah.
I got that going for me.
It's convenient and it's great, and I'm happy you're getting into it.
Yeah, it's been nice. We've all learned a lot over the last year about arrows and bows. And
Right.
really just kind of getting into the nitty-gritty stuff. And
The technical stuff at the end of it.
we've been talking for just over 2 hours now.
Crazy.
Just on gear. Yeah, I was
I've got
wondering
more
how we
stuff.
were going to...
The lone wolves are a huge thing too that we bought this year and worked a lot on them. And there's a lot of gear we've all bought. We could talk for probably 5 hours.
Yeah, you've
Yeah.
been wrapping steps.
We could probably spend 2 hours talking about the discussions with our wives yelling at us for spending so much money on the gear
Oh my
that
gosh.
we've bought.
I've done pretty good so far because I really haven't spent a whole lot of money since the whole podcast
Right, I'm
startup
like,
endeavor.
We're talking into some pretty expensive headsets
Oh,
here,
yeah.
you know?
They
That
feel
was a
nice.
while back, but I mean that's kind of why I don't have new boots, and that's kind of why I don't have steps to get into my tree stand and shit. So any
Come on.
any
The
companies
host-
out there that make good products for a guy in need,
Right.
just reach out, and if they're good
Help 'em
products,
out.
we'll be glad to give you a
A great review.
yeah,
If they're a great product.
right. And if you send us bad stuff, you kind of already know how we operate in that manner.
Right.
So.
Yeah, we might just talk to you first and leave your name out. But, we will be guinea pigs for anybody for sure. I mean, I feel like for the amount of time and money we've all invested in this, I mean, if people want to let us try this stuff out, I'm going to accept help.
Right.
Help me, I'm a poor hunter. I can't afford all the stuff I want.
Well, going forward too, and it's a thought process of mine all the time, is like, how do we get compensation for this? Because the long and the short of it is this costs me money every week.
Right.
'Cause
We love it.
I have to pay to host the website and stuff, and it's not crazy. I mean, buying the equipment costs some money, but I'd like to stabilize it where it doesn't cost me money to do the show, but I'm not really interested in having sponsors. Because I don't want someone to say, well, we don't like what you said. Well, that's going to be a problem for us.
You don't want to sell out.
Yeah.
Right.
And, and I don't want to endorse one person's product and then not talk about someone else's that's also a good product.
Well, just not having the ability to give an honest opinion on something either,
Right. So it's like, where does that put us? How do we, monetize, or at least make this not cost us money to operate? And my thought process going forward is, if people know that we have an honest platform where we have products, you've seen, I don't know if you guys have spent time on Bowhunter Planet's website and seen Test Lab that they do. Those companies send those guys those products because those guys do them a solid by reviewing the products,
field testing them,
showing them to people and saying, hey, this is what this is, and this is what it can do, and here's the pros and the cons, and people trust that platform as being, good advice to the consumer. So maybe hopes that we can provide some type of service for companies like that too, especially now as, there's a lot of young direct-to-consumer products. I mean, look at these guys, Common Hunter. These are just two young guys that are, spending money to try to start a company
business,
and make a little thing. They were nice enough to send us to, or nice enough to send them to us, and they look like a good enough product where we felt comfortable saying, hey, yeah, this is a cool little thing. So anybody that's out there that wants to hear about any specific products, contact us, and we'll reach out to those companies and we'll try to get our hands on them. And
whether we buy them or they let us demo something.
Yeah,
or something.
whatever we have to do.
Or it's a pretty cool looking product. Chances are one of us was.
I can't help myself. That's a problem.
Well, that's what's nice too. It's not always the three of us sitting here. We deal with a lot of different people.
A lot of other people that hunt.
Yeah.
Right?
And so there is a lot of opportunity for us to get our hands on gear and see it, and we'll say that we're just never going to be a biased platform, right?
No, not at all. I mean, I don't really want to sugarcoat anything. If I get a shit experience, you're going to hear about it.
Right. Even though you are a black cat. So companies beware of Drew.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys can all use it, but Drew can't.
Just address it to Ryan or Kevin, and it'll come out okay.
It'll work out fine.
Yeah, with the Exodus camera, the only reason we didn't talk about it sooner is we kind of wanted to see it all play out before. I didn't want to come in with some over-emotional tirade about how I hate these cameras and blah, blah, blah. After dealing with those guys for a couple weeks and getting it all resolved, I couldn't be happier with how they stood behind their warranty. I mean, yeah, the cameras came broken, but, man, they lived right up to every word they published on their handbook there on the warranty, and their response time was perfect. I don't have enough. I can't praise them enough for that. So.
Right. They made it more than right.
Right, they did, for sure.
So that's good.
Yeah, I want to reiterate that to people. If you know of a product that looks like a new young company, and you want to know some stuff about that, like reach out to us. Maybe we've seen it. Maybe we've had our hands on it. Maybe we've talked to the people, or we can find those things out. And that's something that I kind of want to do going forward. And I also want to say to people, if you've been listening to or following the show, anything that you like to hear more of, less of, ideas. Like, I'd really like to strengthen this platform and have our listeners be more involved. So if there's stuff that you'd, like to hear, let us know. Because I'm open to basically anything going forward. We're not just going to beat your brains out with gear.
No. I don't want to do that anyways. I don't want to come sit here every other week or whatever I've been on this show and talk about.
Right, but the long and the short of it is like,
this is our prep. That's
how
our
do
season
people get
Right.
paid to do these kind of things?
Right.
Like,
Right.
how do you get financial compensation for paying to host all this data and doing all the work? Typically, people pick up sponsorships, and those sponsors offer financial compensation, and then so what's the other options? You
Right.
know?
Go rogue. Yeah.
Sell ourselves.
But yeah, no, we don't want to go down that path. So we're looking for other ways. So, like I said, anybody that has any input that
I want to keep shaving my pubes for scent control, not for other reasons.
Going back to where we started from, it's like full circle. We're back to shaving our crotches.
God, dog. Yeah, so
that's
I've
good.
been loving the listener input. I've been reading all the reviews on iTunes, and I'll say that that's awesome. People have been going on there and doing that. It's such a huge favor to us.
Good,
It's
bad,
like,
ugly, whatever.
they're all
Yeah.
good so far. No one has gone on there. We've only had one small negative comment on one of our social media platforms now, in doing this for, I think we're over like the 6-month mark.
Gotta
That's
be
what I figured.
close.
6 months.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
And it was just it wasn't,
We haven't really offended
you know,
anybody too
it
bad
was
yet.
it was followed up by a constructive,
Great.
constructive
A listener that
comments.
cares, that's enjoyed the podcast, but just didn't maybe like
He was
a,
maybe
a
a little
certain-
disappointed with some of
Right.
the, yeah.
Right.
So we're open to that too. If there's stuff that we're doing that you don't like, maybe we'll contemplate listening to what you have to say.
Maybe.
We'll
Or
listen.
maybe we'll just keep on doing what we're doing. I don't know.
We'll listen. We might mock it, but we'll listen.
Yeah.
That's good.
There's one
Wow.
other. We've been
Talking for a while.
2.5
yeah, this
hours.
is-
Yeah, it's
Gets
midnight.
ridiculous sometimes. We
There's
do
one
this
thing that
forever.
I wanted to
I
bring
don't
up.
have to work tomorrow. It
Yeah.
feels great.
See, you just cracked a beer.
Yeah, I like it.
Did you guys drink all the? Son of a bitch.
Drew was nice enough to share too. Sorry.
The
Yeah.
empty.
That's
Would
delicious.
you be kind enough to grab me an Oktoberfest out of
Oh,
the fridge
of
so we
course.
can wrap this mother scratcher
With
up?
another beer?
Yeah.
Farewell. Well, I'm hoping that very soon. I mean, we're 2 weeks away. Tomorrow is youth season
Tomorrow's the Liberty Hunt here in the state of Michigan, which
and early
is
doe, right?
youth. Anybody under 16 can hunt Saturday or Sunday, and they can shoot any deer,
Anything.
right?
Yeah.
Firearm.
And then it's
Firearm only, I think.
early
Only?
antlerless,
Yeah.
correct? Early antlerless.
I'm not sure.
But
Early
antlerless.
antlerless.
Antlerless is firearm only.
And
Youth
there's
hunt might be,
Yes.
but-
Isn't
Yes.
there a disabled?
Disabled. I think maybe
That's this weekend.
handicap. Disabled veterans.
It's
Liberty.
all
Yes.
encapsulated under
Yes.
the Liberty Hunt,
Yeah.
which is this weekend. All that stuff
Check that out. You open anything with that? It's pretty sweet.
like that.
Nope, the other way.
Oh wow, that's slick.
A carabiner built on it.
Boy, that's nice.
Found it at work.
No kidding.
Found it.
Oh, Leatherman, huh?
Score. Yeah.
Skeletal.
Yeah. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, that's nice. Thank you. Where?
Well,
I feel like we've done a fair job. I think
talking about
Yeah.
stuff.
There. Oh, well, I was gonna tell you guys.
Oh, the hunt.
Yeah, you guys don't even know about this yet. I haven't said anything to you about you, but we, the Deer Hunter podcast, is partnering with the gentleman from Lifestyle Lost.
Awesome.
Everything's going to go up this week. We are going to run a digital deer camp through the hunting
No way.
season. It was essentially started out as a buck pull, a digital buck pull. These guys ran the competition last year. They wanted to make some changes to it. They contacted me. They said, hey, are you interested in being part of this since your platform's deer hunting? And we're like, way more into fishing.
Yeah.
But those guys eat up deer hunting too, you know.
Oh yeah,
But
great dudes.
it's not a
Yeah,
huge, it's
for sure.
you know, it's a big part of their following, but it's not like the focus of their platform. So I said, "Do you have any ideas?" And one of my ideas was it would be cool to kind of go away from it just being like a big buck pool where it's more of a platform where people can share their hunting experiences
Their
and
trophies,
more of like
whatever
a
they are.
social meetup through the hunting season. And so I don't fully know all the details, but it's essentially going to be a contest, and there's going to be like 4 different categories. One might say there's 4 ways to enter.
Here we go.
But not really.
Right.
There's more of 4 categories.
Okay.
And one of them, which is awesome, is going to be a doe category. And I think we're going to go off body weight because we don't really know what else.
Maturity,
But
body
like
weight.
the heaviest, one of them's going to be a photo contest. Basically just like whoever submits the coolest photo, the nicest photo, like of encapsulating the
Hunting.
Yeah, just a cool,
Right.
whatever, a cool deer hunting photo.
Right.
Doesn't have to be. Hey, spike horn buck might win.
It could.
Yeah.
On a stick that you and your buddy are carrying out of the woods, you know?
Or maybe they send a series of 3 photos, the deer dead, them cutting it apart, and them eating venison tenderloins. I mean, to me, that means a lot.
Yeah.
You really
That's
encapsulated
your
a
end
lot
game, really.
in that.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to necessarily, I don't think, have to be one photo. And then obviously there will be, I don't know if we'll go by like an official score for, what are you doing? Farting? Why you got a weird look on your face? Might go by official score for one of the categories. You're going to be banned from the podcast if you start this shit.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah. I'm embarrassed.
So it's all the details will be up this week. I think they're going to make some T-shirts and some hats. Fucking guy.
It's not getting me this time. I'm
No.
ready for it.
Me too.
I didn't have my defenses up a couple weeks ago when you got me.
Yeah.
When you get me.
Fool me once.
Got me.
And so if you go to lifestylelost.com,
Follow them.
yeah, could you look at their Instagram and tell me exactly what their Instagram
I think it's
handle
just
is?
Lifestyle Lost
Is
with
So-
no spaces or
no
anything.
underscore?
They're
I'll
going
look
to roll
at
that
it
out
then.
soon? Real soon?
Probably by the time people are listening to this, today is what, Friday
The 15th, I think.
Today's now it's Saturday the 16th as of 10 minutes ago.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, it's just Lifestyle Lost, no spaces, all under. Or,
That's the
lowercase.
Instagram.
Yep.
And then obviously they're on Facebook, Lifestyles Lost, and
Yep.
then lifestylelost.com. And we're going to partner up with them through the fall on this. And we decided to go away from the word buck pull.
Right.
Because that's essentially what it was. This is a contest. They're going to be giving away prizes. There's companies that are going to be sponsoring the event.
Cool.
There's going to be some nice gear given away for people that win these categories. All the details will be up probably by the time people are listening to this. So all you have to do is go over there, and we're gonna call it the Digital Deer Camp.
Landon
that's
and
cool.
Dustin are both stand-up guys too. Their shirts and everything that they make there are top-notch. So give their clothes a look over while you're on their site too. Both of those guys definitely do a great job with that whole line.
Yeah, they really do. We have a couple hats and a couple T-shirts, and
Yep.
they're some of our favorite outdoor apparel, and they're just small. I mean, it's just those 2 guys
Right? Yeah.
running the whole thing. They do a really nice job. So I'm kind of looking forward to it. There's no way around it. We're gonna meet some new people that deer hunt by interacting on that platform this fall.
Yep.
So it's gonna be kind of cool. I'm excited about it. Digital Deer Camp,
I'm going to check it out.
and then we are gonna go to Real Deer Camp, and we're gonna bring podcast equipment with us.
Oh, man. Sure the world's ready for that?
Yeah, I think so. I think we're
gosh.
ready. We've been doing this long enough. I think we know how to navigate through the
I'm gonna
It's
make it a
Things get crazy up there.
personal mission for me to try to record quite a bit of our stuff going on in Ohio too. I don't know if we're gonna. Not quite motivated enough to do like a video blog of it, but
A vlog.
a vlog. I'm not gonna vlog it. I'm gonna vlog it. Be too busy vlogging to vlog, but
That was perfect.
Drew, you vlogging again? Guy vlogs like 3 times a day.
been out of town for a
blind
couple
vlog.
days. Haven't seen my wife in a while, man. But I'm gonna try to have us all sit down at the end of the day and just record like 10, 15
Our
minutes, talk about what happened and plans and how bad we failed and if we had any success. And
Man, I can't wait for that.
yeah, we'll
A
see.
record of that stuff's gonna be great, and that was a big thing too that I wanted to get into this year. I bought a sweet space pen.
Oh God, those
It's
goddamn
awesome.
space
You
pen.
can write underwater with it.
Yeah,
with
that's
waterproof
completely
paper.
useful. If I'm ever drowning and I need to take notes, it'll be
You'll
handy.
see. You'll see. But my plan, and I'm really trying to dedicate myself to this, is to keep excellent notes of every hunt this season and try to be able to go back and read through it and learn something from myself. From the good things I do and the bad things I do, and that's my big thing this season. So hopefully I'll be able to share with everybody how that worked out for me. And
Yeah.
I think it's going to take some dedication to do that for every hunt.
Yeah.
I have a certain set of information that I'm going to make sure that I'm going to record with every single entry into it. So it should be interesting.
I'm really excited at this point because we're just some states openers have already
Today.
opened.
Yeah, tomorrow. A lot
Some
of
guys
places
have already
open
been
tomorrow.
out deer hunting.
Right.
Wisconsin opens tomorrow. The Liberty Hunt here is tomorrow. I'm potentially going out with another friend tomorrow and videoing for him tomorrow
Sweet.
night for Nick. If
Oh, that would be great.
yeah, possibly if I get off work early enough.
Right.
So like deer hunting's starting to happen now, and I'm
Yeah.
excited
We're getting
for
into it.
like this community, anybody that follows the show, like to share the season with any and everybody. Like
I want to hear about everybody else's seasons
Yeah,
too.
we
Let's
wanna
share
hear
our
about-
reports with each other. I'm hoping the listeners will let us know what they're
Absolutely.
seeing, so we can see kind of.
any of our social
Michigan
media
especially.
platforms are available for anybody to share information that they just want to share with the hunting community or like-minded guys. And we're on there, right? We will be on there, kind of keeping some up-to-date stuff, and send us photos. Get a nice buck or a big old matriarch savvy doe, or just whatever you guys
a little
being,
up and comer, yeah.
yeah,
Little
being
raggy buck.
And anybody that on Facebook or whatever wants to message us or whatever, we try to do a pretty good job of staying in touch with everybody and whatnot. So if you got questions or comments or just want to shoot the shit, feel free to message. Try to stay on top of that as much as possible. So
Yeah, absolutely. I guess a couple things will get wrapped up. We just mentioned the digital deer camp, so I'll reiterate that. lifestyleslost.com if you're interested in getting the details on being involved with that this fall. Check that out. Playthel, we talked about them earlier.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna try to partner up with them through the fall to, I guess, showcase their products to some people that have never even, never heard of them or want to check them out. And again, if you go to plythel.com and use the promotional code DeerHunter at checkout, you're going to receive 25% off. And stuff that's warranted for the lifetime warranty to the.
that's crazy.
If you're in the market, how can you go wrong with
I don't
something
know.
like that? I don't.
And I'm telling you, Digital Forest, it sounds like one of those crazy rave parties out in the middle of the woods
Yeah.
where you take Molly and run around half naked. But it's not. It's a sick camo pattern.
Yeah, it is cool.
Yeah, it is good stuff.
We'll give another shout out to those guys, Common Hunter. Thanks for sending us to those. What do you call this thing?
What's that?
Trail
It's
camera
an SD
viewer.
card reader for smartphones.
Yeah, I was hoping there was like a
SD
more
card
like
reader.
catchy, quicker way to card
Trail-
reader.
Card reader,
Trail cam
iPhone
viewer.
card reader.
card reader. And
Card
they have
reader.
them. They have them for Android
Yeah.
They do.
as well.
Was
And
it a
then
Tap? Shout out
Tap.
to those guys.
Yep.
Awesome product.
Thank
and,
you, Sam.
thank you.
Titanium Archery Products. Again, if you go to his website, he's also on Instagram, Titanium Archery Products, and on Facebook. And he gave us a promotional code, Deer Hunter 20, and it's 20% off anything on his site.
Get the Exodus cameras. They're offering a discount.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
For listeners, and
I know it's probably getting late in the season for a lot. I don't know that a lot of cameras will be moving now at this point of the year, but maybe
Right,
guys'
you know,
cameras start breaking and they're looking for replacements.
If you want one, just email us or message us. We'll set you up.
Yeah, I'll and Chad already said it's absolutely fine if you message us. We can just give you the contact information for the owner of the company.
Oh,
You can
Mhm.
nice.
speak with him directly, which is pretty nice. He's a cool dude.
Then you get Tooth of the Arrow if you're in market for new broadheads.
Tooth
this
of the
season.
Arrow, we've been talking about
I
them
am.
for the last couple months. I have heard, and I can't speak personally, that one friend of mine who had the original model, the 100 grain, bought the 100 grain XLs, and he said he had some tuning issues, but he wasn't quite clear yet if it was between his broadhead or his bow. But just one thing that I heard, some guys have
The
asked
XL's
me.
a different model.
The XL is a little bit of a bigger cutting diameter.
Okay.
You got a longer blade on 'em.
Right.
Right.
A longer. Is it wider or just longer?
Well,
No.
it's
Yeah,
The
I
wider-
believe the
wider cut.
profile is even a little shorter,
Oh wow.
but it's the
Shorter and a wider cut.
from what I would understand. But I haven't shot those. I've personally only shot the original model. It's a 1-inch cut?
1-inch cut, but it's a 1-inch hole.
Yeah, it's a
Not a
4-blade 1-inch cut.
Right. They're awesome broadheads. There's no other way to describe them. I mean,
We
they're-
had a friend buy a set today, and he texted us, and he said, hands down, sharpest broadhead I've ever opened out of the package. And I said, I'll agree with
Nice.
that, which I wasn't expecting
get
for
mine.
a machined piece. I will
How
say
quick is their shipping? 2-3 days.
a couple days.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
within a week. You know,
G-
standard
I better
shipping.
hurry up.
G5 had some broadheads that uses Lutz, I think they're called, blades that comes from a company in Germany, and they're
Sharp.
pretty outrageously sharp.
Surgical.
But for these things to be a single piece of machined steel, my expectation about how sharp the thing wasn't like through the roof. But I guess I should say my expectations weren't all that high. But yeah, I was blown away by how sharp they are. They're just ridiculous.
I think the biggest thing is that they fly just like your field tips. You guys both have
I
not
couldn't
experienced
believe it.
any different in tuning.
No, not at all.
So that's in a fixed blade. That's
It
pretty,
fixes a historical problem for me. That's for damn sure.
That's awesome.
So I'm happy to say that they're a badass broadhead and a great option for people. And we have a promotional code with them that's Deer Hunter 17, and I believe it's
10%.
10% off.
Yep.
Deer
and
Hunter
Nice.
17 at Tooth of the
the
Arrow.
last time I checked, they were still running free shipping. I don't know if they
Oh,
are.
I better do it soon then.
Yep. So
Just
I got
online, right?
2 sets. I got 6 broadheads, 2 sets of 3 to the house delivered for like $67.
It's not too bad.
No.
And so Tooth of the
Very
Arrow,
fair.
some people have used our quite a few people have used our promotional code, and the guys sent me a text last week and said, hey, thanks for they haven't given us anything. I mean, we have no any kind of business agreement with them
Right.
at all.
We're just trying their stuff out.
Yeah, and they said, hey, thanks for talking nice about our product. We want to do something for your listeners. So they sent us a pack of 100 grain broadheads that we're going to give away. And it's pretty simple. All you have to do is go to the Deer Hunter. What's the page called officially?
Deer Hunter
The YouTube?
podcast.
Deer
on
Hunter
YouTube.
Deer
Yeah.
Hunter Podcast. So if you go to our YouTube page, Deer Hunter Podcast, and you subscribe,
Subscribe and leave a comment on this show episode, because I can't see all subscribers, because they hide them on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll just have it, just write a comment on the comment for this episode's YouTube video, and then you'll be entered.
Yeah, you can
giveaway.
write,
Nice.
you guys are dumbasses, or
Yeah.
you can write Tooth of the Arrow, or
Vlog
hey,
it.
we like the
Right,
show.
vlog
Vlog
it.
it.
We'll know what you're
Just
talking about.
vlog it.
Vlog it, double D's,
Right.
whatever you want to put there. So yeah, subscribe to the YouTube channel, which is you can go on the YouTube channel and watch us sitting here for the last 2 hours and 45 minutes
Sounds
drinking
miserable
beers
to me.
at a bar.
I would not want to watch myself do that.
Well,
but
I
maybe
don't think
somebody
I'll-
out there wants to.
I don't think a whole lot of people sit and watch 2.5 hours of us sitting here talking, but what they do is very convenient for a lot of people to just listen through that.
Right.
So they might have
Right.
their computer
Right.
on and listen
Pull
through
up
that.
It's
YouTube
nice
or-
at work if you can open it up, and just
Listen to it.
minimize it, and then you got to play it.
You know,
I've done that
iTunes
with
is
music.
iTunes is great for listening to this stuff if you have an Apple phone, but if you have Androids, it can be sometimes a pain in the ass. I've heard from people, so they love the YouTube option because they'll just go to YouTube and,
What have you been doing, Drew, on your Android?
Google Play.
It's pretty smooth. I mean,
Yeah, it's the best way to do a podcast on Android.
Right.
But YouTube's handy for people because you can do it on any computer.
any device.
Right.
anything, right? So, yeah,
Just leave a comment on the YouTube video for this episode. I don't know what the episode number will be.
this episode number is going to be, I believe, 21 or 22.
But we'd appreciate if you subscribed and then left a comment. And
That
once
way
the-
you'll be entered. I
Yep.
think you'll appreciate it
Once
when you
the
win.
comment's on there, we will be entered in the drawing, and then we'll figure out a way to contact you once we draw the name.
Yeah, and we'll send the broadheads out to you.
Yep.
Yeah. Some guy just won an Exodus camera. He's probably pretty happy.
We'll run the giveaway for a week from the day that we air this episode. So, I've been for the last couple months I've been releasing the episode on late Monday night is when I finish it up. Most people are getting it Tuesday morning. It's available for you. But now I'm kind of getting backed up, and I'd like to put a little more content out now that it's getting to be hunting season, 2 episodes a week. So I'm not exactly sure going forward. I'm going to start putting episodes up on different days and just watching the downloads to see like how the interaction is. Because, there's a lot of other hunting podcasts that release the same day every week. And so I'm just trying to figure out what days are the best. I don't know exactly what day this week we'll launch this podcast. I'm leaning towards maybe Wednesday.
Right.
So this episode will air Wednesday. The date will be dead air. Wednesday the
Tick tock.
20th.
20th.
And I'll run it for a week.
Yep.
And then we will, on the next podcast, announce who's getting the broadheads. And we're just going to randomly...
Yeah, we'll just go through the list of comments. We'll pick a username off of that. I'll reply to your comment or whatever, and we'll find a way to connect through that. And I'll make sure I get a hold of you. Because I know YouTube's not going to have like your specific username as far as like Facebook or anything like that, but you guys will be able to. I'll make sure you can track me down. I'll even give you my cell phone number on there if I have to, so you can text me and we'll make sure we'll get you the broadheads.
You won't even give me your cell phone number.
Ryan, you should enter because you need.
I
You
need a-
need 125s,
Yeah.
don't you?
Unfortunately.
These are 100 grain, buddy.
I've shot 100 grain forever, but I'm just getting to be a weight freak this year for whatever reason. I'm just want to throw a log through the air.
It's weird.
That's where I'm at. I mean, I'm over 500 grains, I think, with my arrow. Total package, I'm over 500 grains. Total. What's everybody get? We get to a point.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Well, you just want to talk about your package now, so.
Well, I don't know.
We have one last item to address, and it's that Sam at Titanium Archery Products sent us a pretty badass suppressor / stabilizer to give away to someone in our listening audience.
The hunter model.
Yep, thing's slick. It's got a reddish orange sticker on it. If that didn't match your bow, it could be removed relatively easily. But all you have to do is there will be a blog post on our Facebook when this episode is released. All you have to do is go to the Deer Hunter Podcast Facebook page and share that post. Just share that post and
Tag a friend, maybe.
Just share it. That'll enter you in.
yeah, just share. Sharing's caring.
It is caring. Teamwork makes the dream work.
And if you do that, then you'll be entered to get a new suppressor / stabilization unit.
System. Yeah.
Yeah.
Talking about your unit now.
It's late.
Yeah.
We should wrap up.
I got to work in the morning.
Me too.
Not me.
It's not gonna be a pleasant Saturday.
No. I've only got 8 hours, though.
And you know what's gonna be rough? Is that you're gonna be getting at some point tomorrow, someone is gonna text us photos of deer, and there's gonna be on the internet some monster bucks getting shot this weekend by little kids.
Yeah, that'll get depressing.
It's gonna
But exciting, though. It's good for the kids.
It's good for the kids, but
Good for
still,
the
you're
kids.
like, son of a bitch.
Kind of wish everybody leave it all alone. Just leave it alone.
My
But yeah.
morning is going to consist of waking up, may or may not go to the gym, and then take my 5-year-old out for breakfast in the morning.
That's awesome.
So, not
Yeah.
a bad morning for me.
You know, one last thing I want to say, too, is while we were getting the podcast up and running today, we were on the phone with the owner of Bone Broadheads, which if you listen to our last episode with Jason Meekoff, we talked a little bit about them. And those guys, we got in contact with them because they got some feedback from some of our listeners that were interested in their product. And they're actually going to send us some of their broadheads to here into the studio for us to test and try out. And that way we can speak a little more honestly about what those things are. But they look like a pretty legit badass broadhead too.
Right.
They're rowdy looking. They don't look like any broadhead I've ever seen.
What is it called again?
Bone broadheads.
Bone broadheads.
You know,
They're BHA guys, so they're not.
yeah.
They're good
messing
dudes,
around.
though.
The guy
Right.
the guy that makes it, he is a Backcountry Hunters and Anglers member. That's
Right.
kind of how that's how we got hooked up with him. Jason's Backcountry Hunters guy. This guy's out of I think New Mexico or something.
Yeah, I think
He's-
so. He said something over that way.
Right.
Arizona or New Mexico. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, it
but
might be Arizona. I know when we talked to him, he was driving to Colorado to hike 2 miles in tonight and set up a camp, and he's going to hunt elk solo for the next 3 or 4 days. So,
Oh, that's intense.
yeah,
Wow.
pretty cool dude, and he's making these broadheads. So we'll have a set in here hopefully in the next week or something that we can kind of test out, talk about too. So
Plus, BHA Rendezvous is,
Next
well, if
weekend.
this goes up Wednesday, it'll be 2 days after this podcast airs. But
I'm trying to make it.
me
doing my
and
best.
a couple other guys will definitely be at the Rendezvous. So
yep.
if you see us up there, I don't know, probably won't have any identification as far as hats or anything, but if you just ask for Drew, there's not too many of us around there, so you can
I'll give you guys some cards too.
track me down, and happy to
You
drink
guys-
a couple pints and bullshit with anybody that's at the Rendezvous for sure.
We do have some business cards I can give you guys, and you can pin them to your shirts. Like
Nice.
you're at a business meeting.
Nice.
You need to put it on the back of my shirt though. Can't be responsible.
Right.
Yeah, there's gonna be all. It sounds like, all the BHA members from the state basically aren't gonna be missing next weekend. I mean, there's a lot of people there. I was texting a little bit back and forth with Mark Kenyon today, and he's going there, and he's got a pretty wild story. He just got back from hunting
Oh,
caribou in Alaska with Steve Ranella. Talked
Man.
about it on his podcast today. Anybody that hasn't listened to the latest episode of Wired to Hunt, you want to hear a cool hunting story, it's a good one. Real good one. No, we'll give those guys another shout out too. I think it's down south. hunting podcast, if anybody that wants to listen to that scent control debate between Eberhart and Dan Infault, that is like,
I'd love to. I'm gonna have to try to listen to that tomorrow.
it is. It's Down South Hunting Podcast.
Okay.
That's what it is. It's in iTunes. I don't know if it's available anywhere else, but they got a 3-part thing going right now. That's pretty sweet. So
Nice.
anything else? I think we covered it all. I got my
lot.
whole list crossed off here. We went way longer than what I was figuring we would go tonight, but it was good, man. It
That's
was
how
nice
these things go.
for you guys to come over and have a couple beers and relax.
Felt good.
Right. I'm excited. I cannot wait for this season to get going. I really cannot. We're almost a month away from our Ohio trip right now. A few more days, it'll be exactly a month. So
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, and I'll just say that I'm not going to be at the BHA event because I'm going up to the Pigeon River State Forest and basically speed touring all my handfuls of hunting spots, and I have to get our camper back to northern Michigan and situated so that when we go up there for rifle camp, the camper's there and hooked up and it's not, some huge debacle.
For sure, people that are going are myself, Jason, who's been on the podcast once, and Bomberito, Nick Bomberito, who's been on a
Son of a bitch,
couple
is that going to be
times.
fun.
yeah, and I'm really trying to do it. I'm really trying. I've got.
You're not going.
I'm really.
You're
Trying to
not
go.
going. I'm telling you right now.
Oh, I'll
I'm
be
trying.
there. I
I'm
got
really
it.
trying. We'll see.
You're going to try.
I got a lot of stuff. I got my daughter's baptism this weekend.
Take her up there. It's a library. You could baptize her right in the...
Sunday. I don't know. Got a lot of stuff going on.
It was 2 nights ago. We were looking at the calendar, and Amy's like, "All right, write down the days you're gonna be out of town." Like, all right, this is gonna go great. You
Oh
know?
boy.
So like, I'm working this weekend. I'm going bow hunting 4 days this weekend. I'm working this weekend. I'm gonna go bow hunting this 7 days. It's just like, oh god. So you can imagine how that conversation went in my household.
I'm going through the same thing right
Well,
now.
I've been prepping my wife for it all year.
Right. And she says, she's like, all right. But it's like, it's
They're
like there's a
slightly
tone
reluctant,
there.
slightly reluctant in giving the
Well,
all's
yeah,
good.
you
approval.
sit home with those kids for a couple days.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
God bless my wife. She's a wonderful woman for dealing with it. So
One kid, is crazy. Your life, 2 kids, and then it's insane.
yeah.
Why do we do it?
It's putting a cramp on the hunting, but I gotta say it's the best thing I've ever done. But I really miss it. I put a cramp on some things, but I love them. Gotta love them.
Yeah.
I do too.
So
Not your kids. Well, I like your kids too.
I
but
like
love
your
my
kids too.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right, let's end this.
Yeah.
Let's go to bed.
I won't go home.
Thanks a lot, everybody, for listening to the show. Share the show with any of your friends or anybody that you think might enjoy it via social media platforms. And I'll just say again one more time in closing that anybody that's willing to go to iTunes and leave us a ranking or review, people have been doing it. Our reviews doubled in the last couple weeks, and it's really helping us to grow the show and get it to where, like, I got a message just today before we started that, a guy found us on iTunes. And if we're way back down because, we're not getting any rankings or reviews, people just won't find the show. So thank you so much to everybody that's gone and done that. And if you're willing to do that, be extremely grateful.
Yep, much appreciated. We're definitely gaining steam. We're definitely working our way up the rankings list there as far as iTunes is concerned.
Yeah, and I meant what I said too. Even if you want to go to iTunes and leave a review and write a suggestion for something that you'd like to see from the show, or ideas, things that you'd like out of a deer hunting podcast, we're so open to that. Like, not gonna scare us with a good time. So
We're all trades guys. We're used to getting yelled at and actually enjoy a good spat every once in a while. So
So yeah, anybody that wants or is willing to do that, thank you so much. Thanks for listening, and looking forward to hunting season getting started here in the next couple weeks.
Let's get it on.